The room is still. The world outside has softened its edges, surrendering to the quiet embrace of the night. But inside, in the space behind your eyes, a storm is raging. The body is tired, yearning for rest, yet the mind refuses to yield. It replays the day's events in a relentless loop. A conversation you wish had gone differently, a task left undone, an email you forgot to send. Then, it rushes forward, rehearsing a tomorrow that has not yet arrived. The meetings, the deadlines, the worries waiting in ambush. Each thought is a ripple, disturbing the stillness, making the calm surface of the mind turbulent and choppy. You turn over, adjusting your pillow, hoping a change in physical position might somehow quiet the inner chaos. But the noise is not in the room. The noise is within. This experience, this feeling of being trapped in a prison of your own thoughts, is not a personal failure. It is a symptom of our time, a shared condition for so many of us living in a world that shouts when we need it to whisper. We are constantly connected, constantly available, constantly measured by our productivity and our possessions. We are taught to strive, to achieve, to want more. And in this endless pursuit, we have forgotten how to simply be. The pressure builds, day by day, and settles into our bones as a quiet, persistent hum of anxiety. We seek escape in distraction, but when the night comes and all distractions fall away, we are left alone with the frantic energy of an exhausted mind. But what if the night was not an adversary to be conquered with pills or sheer force of will? What if this profound stillness, this sacred darkness, was not a source of anxiety, but a gateway to healing? For thousands of years, a timeless wisdom has offered a different way. Not a way of fighting the mind, but of understanding it. Not a way of silencing your thoughts, but of learning to listen to them with gentle, compassionate detachment. This is not about converting to a religion, but about discovering a science of the mind, a set of practical, compassionate tools that can guide you out of the storm and into a place of deep, inner refuge. Tonight, we will not fight the current. We will learn to flow with it. We will use the very fabric of this moment, the gentle rhythm of your own breath, the weight of your body, the quiet sounds of the night, as anchors to the present. This is an invitation, a gentle path leading you away from the noise and back home to the calm, clear, and peaceful center of your own being. The healing is about to begin. All you have to do is listen. Let us begin now by turning our attention inward, away from the world of doing and into the world of being. There is no need to strive for anything, no destination to reach. The only requirement is to be here, now, in the gentle custody of this present moment. And our gateway into this moment, our most faithful and constant companion, is the breath. It has been with you from your first cry to this very second, a silent, rhythmic current flowing beneath the surface of your life. It asks for nothing, and yet it gives everything. Tonight, we will simply pay attention to this gift. We will make the breath our anchor, our gentle guide back to the sanctuary of the self. So, wherever you are lying, allow your attention to rest on the simple, physical sensation of your own breathing. There is no need to alter it in any way. You are not trying to breathe deeply, or slowly, or in any special manner. The breath knows exactly what to do. Your only task is to become a curious observer, a gentle witness to this ancient, effortless dance. Bring your awareness to the tip of your nostrils. Can you feel the subtle sensation of the air as it enters your body? Notice its temperature. Perhaps it is cool, carrying with it the stillness of the night air. Feel it gently brush past the threshold of your nostrils, a delicate, almost imperceptible touch. Follow this in-breath as it continues its journey inward, down through the sinuses, into the back of your throat, a silent, invisible river of life. There is nothing else you need to do right now. If thoughts arise, and they will, simply acknowledge them, as you would acknowledge clouds passing in the sky, and then, gently, kindly, return your focus to the breath. Feel the in-breath as it fills your lungs. Notice the gentle expansion of your chest, the subtle lift of your collarbones. Perhaps you can feel your abdomen rise, like a slow, soft wave. Stay with this feeling of fullness for a moment. This is the peak of the inhalation. And now, notice the moment of surrender, the gentle, effortless release of the out-breath. There is no effort here. The body simply lets go. Feel the chest fall, the abdomen soften. Follow this out-breath as it makes its journey back out into the world. Notice the air as it leaves your body, perhaps a little warmer now, carrying with it any tension you might be holding. The out-breath is a letting go, a release, a quiet sigh of the body. This is the entire practice. The in-breath, a gathering of energy, a filling up, and the out-breath, a release, a softening, a letting go, in and out. A simple, reliable rhythm, a natural tide, rising and falling. For these next few moments, let this be your entire world. The sensation of cool air entering, the gentle rise of your belly, the feeling of release as the warm air leaves. Each breath is a new beginning, a fresh moment, completely untainted by the one before it. The mind will wander. This is its nature. It will pull you into memories of the past or projections about the future. This is not a mistake. It is not a sign of failure. It is simply what minds do. When you notice that your attention has drifted, meet that realization with kindness. There is no need for frustration or judgment. Simply say to yourself, silently, wondering, and then, like guiding a lost child by the hand, gently escort your attention back to the breath, back to the feeling of the air in your nostrils, back to the rise and fall of your chest. Every time you do this, you are strengthening a muscle of mindfulness. You are practicing coming home. In the ancient stories of the Buddha, the untamed mind is often compared to a wild, powerful buffalo crashing through the jungle, full of restless energy. If you try to fight the buffalo head-on, you will be exhausted and defeated. Its energy is too strong. Many of us treat our minds this way. We fight our anxious thoughts. We try to suppress our worries. We wrestle with our own minds, and we only end up more agitated, more tired. The wise farmer in the story does not fight the buffalo. Instead, he finds a very strong, sturdy post, and he drives it deep into the earth. Then, he takes a long, strong rope, and he ties the buffalo to the post. The buffalo, at first, continues to struggle. It runs to the end of the rope, straining and pulling, trying to break free. But the post is firm. It does not yield. The buffalo may run in circles. It may pull with all its might, but eventually, it grows tired. It realizes that the post is its reality, and after a while, it lies down peacefully at the foot of the post, content to rest within the radius of the rope. Tonight, your mind is this wild buffalo, full of the day's restless energy, and your breath is this unshakable post. Do not fight your thoughts. Do not wrestle with your anxieties. Simply, gently, tie your attention to the post of the breath. When the mind runs, When it pulls and strains with a worry or a memory, feel the gentle tug of the rope and guide it back to the in-breath, back to the out-breath. The post is always here, solid, reliable, and still. The mind may continue its dance for a while, but with each return to the breath, you are teaching it that safety lies here, peace lies here, rest lies here. Eventually, the mind will learn. It will begin to settle. It will lie down peacefully next to the calm, steady rhythm of your breathing. The breath is more than just air. It is the bridge between your body and your mind. Your body is always in the present. It cannot be anywhere else. It feels the sheets beneath it. It hears the sounds in the room. It exists, undeniably, in the here and now. Your mind, however, is a time traveler. It lives in the ghosts of yesterday and the phantoms of tomorrow. This disconnect between a present body and an absent mind is a great source of our anxiety. The breath is the sacred bridge that unites them. When you place your full attention on the physical sensation of breathing, you are pulling your mind out of the imaginary worlds of past and future and gently anchoring it in the living reality of your body. You are bringing mind home to body. You are becoming whole again, here in this present moment. This simple act of watching the breath has a profound effect on your entire being. It is a direct signal to your nervous system that you are safe. The gentle, mindful focus on the out-breath, in particular, activates the body's parasympathetic response, the system of rest and digest. It is the opposite of the fight or flight response that so many of us live in during our waking hours. It slows the heart rate. It lowers blood pressure. It tells every cell in your body that the battle is over. It is time to rest. It is time to repair. It is time to heal. So allow this feeling of safety to permeate your body with each breath. With each inhalation, feel a sense of gentle energy, and with each exhalation, feel a deep sense of release. Letting go, softening. Let your shoulders drop. Let the tiny muscles around your eyes relax. Let your jaw be loose. Every out-breath is an invitation to release a little more, to surrender a little more, to trust in this process. Your breath is your refuge. No matter how chaotic your thoughts may become, no matter what emotions may surface, the breath is a constant, steady presence. It is a quiet cave you can retreat to, a safe harbor in any storm. It is always here, waiting for you to return. And so, the practice remains simple, just this breath, in and out. When the mind wanders, as it will, gently bring it back, 1,000 times if you must. Each return is an act of profound self-compassion. Each return is a step closer to peace. Just this breath, this single, precious, life-giving breath. Here, now, having found a gentle anchor in the rhythm of the breath, let us now allow our awareness to expand. Let it become a soft, warm light, ready to illuminate the landscape of our physical selves. We will embark on a quiet journey through the body, not as a critic looking for flaws, but as a kind friend, returning after a long time away, eager to listen and to understand. Our bodies are more than just vessels that carry our minds. They are living archives, faithful keepers of our life story. Every stress from a difficult day, every unspoken word caught in the throat, every moment of joy and every pang of fear leaves a subtle imprint in our tissues, our muscles, our very cells. This tension becomes a kind of physical armor that we carry, often without even realizing it. Tonight, we will not try to break this armor. We will simply, gently, and lovingly invite it to melt away. Let us begin at the furthest shore of your physical being, Bring all of your gentle, curious attention down, down, all the way to your feet. Allow the light of your awareness to rest upon your toes. Can you feel them without wiggling them? Can you sense the space between each toe? Notice the big toe, the smallest toe, and all the toes in between. Perhaps you feel a warmth there, a slight tingling, or the soft pressure of a blanket. Or maybe you feel very little at all, a kind of numbness. Whatever you discover is perfectly fine. There is no right or wrong sensation. We are simply noticing, without judgment, without any need to change a thing. Now, bring your awareness to the soles of your feet. These are the foundations that have carried you through your day, that have connected you to the earth with every step. Feel their weariness. Feel their strength. Imagine your breath traveling all the way down your body, a warm, healing wave washing over the soles of your feet, thanking them for their service and giving them permission, finally, to rest. Let go of the day's journey. You have arrived. Allow this soft awareness to travel into your heels, feeling their solid connection with the surface beneath you. Let them sink, feeling heavy and supported. Move your attention to the arches of your feet and the tops of your feet, noticing the delicate network of bones and tendons. Breathe into your entire foot, both feet at once. Imagine them softening, releasing, becoming completely at ease. From your feet, let the gentle light of your awareness flow upward into your ankles. These complex, flexible joints that allow for so much movement. Send them a feeling of gratitude and kindness, and then move into your lower legs. Become aware of your shins and your calf muscles. The calves, in particular, often hold a great deal of tension from walking, from standing, from bracing against the world. Can you feel any tightness there? Any knots or hardness? If you do not fight it. Simply breathe into it. Imagine your warm out-breath flowing directly into your calf muscles, like warm water on ice, inviting them to soften, to lengthen, to let go of their grip. Now, bring your attention to your knees, these powerful joints that bend and flex, supporting you as you rise and sit. So often we take them for granted. For this moment, just be with your knees. Send them your warmth, your gratitude, your gentle attention, and continue your journey upward into the large, strong muscles of your thighs. Feel the hamstrings along the back of your legs and the quadriceps along the front. These are among the most powerful muscles in your body. Let them feel the full weight of gravity. Let them feel completely supported by the bed. There is nothing they need to do right now. No need to hold you up. Allow them to become heavy, loose, and deeply relaxed. Just a feeling of profound heaviness, sinking down, releasing. Your awareness now arrives at the center of your grounding, your hips, your pelvis, your buttocks. This is the heavy, solid base of your torso. It is also an area where we unconsciously store a great deal of deep-seated emotion. Let this area be heavy. Let it sink deeply into the surface beneath you. Feel the full support of the bed holding you, allowing the powerful muscles of your buttocks and hips to completely let go. Breathe into the bowl of your pelvis, imagining it filled with a warm, soothing light. This is your center of gravity, your anchor of stability. Allow it to be completely, profoundly at peace. From this stable base, begin to travel up your back. Bring your awareness to your lower back, another area that so often carries the burdens of our day. If you feel any ache or tightness here, breathe into it. Do not resist it. Simply meet the sensation with your soft, compassionate awareness. Imagine your breath creating space, gently easing the tension. Then, let your focus drift slowly up your spine, one vertebra at a time. Imagine the spine as a long, elegant stack of coins, and with each out-breath, you are creating just a little more space between each coin, allowing it to lengthen and decompress. Travel up the mid-back, feeling the area behind your ribs, and then continue up to your upper back, feeling the broad expanse of your shoulder blades. Imagine them resting, spreading, melting into the mattress. Let your awareness now pour over your shoulders. For so many of us, our shoulders are where we carry the weight of the world, our responsibilities, our worries. We hold them high and tight, braced for the next challenge. But right now, there are no burdens to carry. Give your shoulders explicit permission to let go. Let them drop away from your ears. Let them melt. Feel the tension dissolving, flowing down from your shoulders and into your arms. Let this wave of release travel through your upper arms, past your elbows, and into your forearms. Feel your arms become heavy, limp, and wonderfully still. This feeling of release continues all the way down into your hands. Become aware of your wrists, the palms of your hands, the back of your hands. Notice your fingers and your thumbs. These hands that have worked so hard today, grasping, typing, holding, creating. Now, their work is done. Allow them to be soft and open. Perhaps you can feel a gentle warmth or a tingling sensation in your palms or your fingertips. This is the feeling of energy, of life. Just allow your hands to rest, completely empty, completely at peace. Now, bring your attention back to your torso, to the front of your body. Become aware of your abdomen, the soft, vulnerable center of your being. Let it rise and fall with your breath, without any restriction. We often hold our stomachs tight, a subconscious bracing against emotional impact. In this safe space, let your belly be soft. Let it be free. Feel the gentle, rhythmic massage of your breath in your core. Then, allow your awareness to expand into your chest, the home of your heart and lungs. Feel the gentle, steady beat of your heart, a faithful, reliable drum, beating just for you. It asks for nothing. Send your heart a wave of gratitude for its ceaseless work. Feel your chest gently rise and fall with each breath, a visible sign of the life flowing through you. From your chest, travel up to your neck and your throat. This is a narrow bridge between mind and body, a place where unspoken words and unfelt emotions can get stuck. Invite the muscles in your neck to soften. Let go of the need to hold your head up. Trust the pillow to do that for you. Let your throat feel open and clear. And finally, let your soft, warm awareness envelop your entire head. Begin with your jaw. Notice if you are clenching your teeth. Gently, allow a small space to appear between your upper and lower teeth. Let the jaw hang loose. Relax your lips, your cheeks. Relax the tiny muscles around your mouth. Let your tongue rest comfortably in your mouth. Bring your awareness to your nose, your ears. Soften the tiny, expressive muscles around your eyes. Let your eyelids rest like soft curtains. Allow your forehead to become smooth, wide, and clear. Release any furrows of worry. And finally, let this feeling of softness spread over your entire scalp. A master musician, before a great performance, does not simply grab their instrument and begin to play. They approach it with reverence and care. They gently wipe away the dust. They check the tension of each string. They listen to its unique voice, tuning it with patience and love. Your body is your sacred instrument, the one you have been given for this entire lifetime. This practice, this journey of listening, is your way of tending to it. You are not forcing it into tune. You are simply listening to it with kindness, with care, and with love. And in this compassionate listening, the instrument begins to tune itself, So now, for a moment, feel your entire body as one, from the tips of your toes to the crown of your head. Feel your body as a single, unified field of sensation. It is not a collection of parts, but a complete whole, humming with gentle energy, breathing as one. There is nothing to do, nowhere to go, just the simple, profound reality of your body, resting, releasing, and sinking into a state of deep, effortless peace. As your body rests in this deep and comfortable stillness, as the waves of physical tension continue to soften and recede, a new kind of sensitivity may begin to emerge. Having quieted the inner conversation of the muscles, we can now begin to listen, in a new way, to the world around us. This next step on our journey is one of fearless opening. We move our attention from the inner landscape of the body to the symphony of sensations that surrounds us. There is no need to search for anything. There is no effort involved. It is simply an act of allowing, an act of reception. Imagine your sense of hearing is like a satellite dish, vast and sensitive. For now, you will simply let it be open, receiving whatever signals arrive, without preference, without judgment. Let us begin with the sounds that are closest to you, the inner circle of sound. Without moving, without straining, simply notice what you can hear. Perhaps you can hear the sound of your own breathing, a soft, rhythmic whisper in the quiet room. It is the most intimate sound in the universe. Listen to it for a moment. Perhaps you can hear the quiet beat of your own heart, a faint, steady drumming deep within your chest. Listen. What else do you notice? The subtle rustle of the sheets as your chest rises and falls. The gentle hum of electricity that runs through the walls of your home. A sound we so often ignore, but one that is almost always present. You might hear the quiet clicks and sighs of the house settling. The usual habit of the mind is to label these sounds instantly. That is the refrigerator. That is the clock. For this practice, see if you can let go of the labels. Instead of hearing the idea of a clock, can you simply hear the pure sensation of the sound itself? A short, sharp tick, followed by a space of silence, and then another tick. Experience the raw data of the sound, the vibration as it meets your eardrums, before the mind rushes in to name it and file it away. These sounds are not problems to be solved. They are not interruptions to your peace. They are the very texture of this present moment. They are the soundtrack of your stillness. The practice is to allow them to be here, to welcome them into your awareness. Your peace is not so fragile that it can be broken by the hum of a machine. Your peace is vast enough to include that hum, to include everything. Now, with this same quality of gentle, open attention, allow your field of hearing to expand. Let it spread outwards, beyond the walls of this room, into the night. What can you hear from the world outside? Perhaps you can hear the sound of the wind, a low whisper, or a gentle sigh, as it moves through the trees or around the corners of the building. Listen to the wind, a sound as ancient as the earth itself. Perhaps you can hear the distant rumble of a car passing on a far-off street. Notice how the sound arises from silence, grows in volume, and then fades away again, back into silence. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It is a perfect demonstration of impermanence. Maybe you can hear a dog barking in the distance, or the faint cry of a siren. Our minds have a strong tendency to categorize sounds as good or bad. The sound of wind might be labeled pleasant and relaxing. The sound of a siren might be labeled unpleasant and alarming. This labeling, this judgment, is what creates our suffering. The sound itself is neutral. It is simply a vibration in the air, a wave of energy. It is our story about the sound, our resistance to it, that creates tension in the mind and body. Tonight, we let go of the stories. We abandon the court of judgment. We simply listen. We offer every sound the same unconditional hospitality. The good sounds and the bad sounds are all welcome guests in the spaciousness of your awareness. Greet them all with the same calm neutrality. Ah, the wind. Ah, the siren. Each is just a visitor passing through. There is a beautiful story about a great meditation master who chose to live in a small hut right next to a noisy, bustling marketplace. His students were perplexed. They asked him, "Master, how can you possibly find peace here with the shouting of the merchants, the hammering of the blacksmith, and the crying of children all day long?" The master smiled gently and replied, "It is because my mind is not here in the marketplace. My mind is like the vast blue sky, and all these sounds, the shouting, the hammering, the crying, they are like birds flying through the sky. They appear from one side, they sing their song for a moment, and then they disappear on the other side. They do not leave a single scratch or a single trace upon the blue of the sky. The sky does not cling to the birds, nor does it try to push them away. It simply allows them the space to be exactly as they are. Tonight, let your mind become this sky, infinitely vast, open, clear, and boundless, and let every sensation that arises, a thought, an emotion, a physical feeling, and yes, every sound be like a bird flying through this vast inner sky. A distant rumble of a truck, let it be a bird. Welcome it. Notice its shape and its song, and then watch as it flies on, disappearing back into the silence from which it came. A sudden worry about tomorrow, let it be a bird. Do not try to shoot it down. Do not try to catch it and analyze it. Simply observe it, acknowledge its presence, and watch it fly on. A feeling of sadness or loneliness, let it also be a bird. Let it pass through the vast, compassionate space of your awareness without resistance. Your mind, in its true nature, is this open space. It is not disturbed by what passes through it. It is inherently peaceful. The problem is that we forget we are the sky, and we think we are the bird. We identify with the fleeting thought, the passing emotion, and we are carried away by it. Tonight, you remember, you are the sky. Rest in your own vastness. And now, let us take one final step. Beyond listening to the sounds in the space, can you become aware of the space itself? Can you sense the silence that holds all the sounds? The silence is always here, underneath the noise, between the sounds. It is the canvas upon which the sounds are painted. Let your awareness be with this silence, this profound stillness, and expand this awareness of space to the physical room you are in. Without opening your eyes, sense the dimensions of the room. Sense the space between your body and the ceiling. Sense the space between your body and the walls. Feel your body resting in this container of space. You are held by the room, held by the space. This outer space of the room is a reflection of your own inner space of awareness. Just as the room has enough space to contain the bed, the furniture, and your own body, your awareness has enough space to contain every thought, every feeling, and every sensation that could possibly arise. You are not the furniture. You are the room. You are not the thought. You are the awareness that notices the thought. You are not the feeling of anxiety. You are the silent, spacious awareness in which the feeling of anxiety is allowed to appear and disappear. This realization is the key to profound freedom. It creates a space between you, the observer, and the transient experiences you observe. In this space lies peace. In this space lies freedom. So rest now, in this open, spacious awareness. Rest as the sky-like mind. Your body is still. Your breath is gentle. The sounds of the night come and go, like birds in flight. Everything is allowed. Everything is welcome. There is nothing to do, nothing to fix, nothing to figure out. Simply be the space. Simply be the silent, loving awareness in which all of life unfolds. Rest here. This is your true nature. This is your home. Resting here, in this vast, open space of awareness, held in the stillness of the night, you may begin to notice the most lively inhabitants of this inner world, the thoughts themselves. For many of us, this is the most challenging part of any journey into silence. The mind can feel like a relentless storm, a chaotic marketplace of worries, plans, memories, and fantasies. Our first instinct is often to fight it, to try and force the mind to be blank, to achieve a state of no thought. And in this fight, we always lose, becoming only more frustrated and entangled. So let us begin with a radical act of kindness. Let us accept a fundamental truth. The mind's job is to produce thoughts, just as the heart's job is to beat, and the lungs' job is to breathe. You are not broken or failing if you have thoughts. You are simply human. The path to inner peace is not found in the eradication of thought, but in a profound transformation of your relationship to your thoughts. We are not aiming to stop the river from flowing. We are simply learning how to sit peacefully on its bank. So I invite you now to use your imagination. Picture yourself sitting on the soft, green grass of a riverbank on a perfectly calm and beautiful day. The sun is warm on your skin. A gentle breeze rustles the leaves of the trees above you. Before you is a wide, slow-moving river. The water flows effortlessly, without any hurry, glittering in the sunlight. This river is the stream of your consciousness, the flow of your mind. Now, notice that on the surface of this river, leaves and twigs and flower petals are gently floating by. Each one of these objects is a single thought. As you sit here, on this peaceful riverbank, your only task is to watch these thoughts float by. A thought about something you need to do tomorrow might appear. See it as a green leaf, entering your field of vision, drifting past, and continuing on its journey downstream until it disappears from sight. A memory from your childhood might surface. Perhaps it is a brightly colored flower petal, swirling gently in an eddy for a moment, before it too is carried away by the current. A worry, a fearful thought, might appear as a dark, gnarled twig. You do not need to be afraid of it. From your position of safety on the bank, you can simply observe its shape, its texture, as it too floats past and is carried away. The common habit of the mind is to jump into the river. We see a particularly interesting leaf, a memory we want to hold on to, and we dive in, grasping at it. Or we see a frightening twig, a worry, and we jump into the cold water to wrestle with it, to try and break it apart. Before we know it, we are no longer resting peacefully on the bank. We are in the river, caught in the current, cold and struggling, being carried away by the relentless flow of our own thinking. This is what it feels like to be lost in thought. The practice of mindfulness is the simple, repeated act of noticing when you are in the river. The moment you realize, I am in the water, I am lost in thought, you do not scold yourself, you do not despair. That realization itself is a moment of profound wisdom. And with that wisdom, you gently and kindly guide yourself back out of the water, back onto the warm, dry, solid ground of the riverbank. You sit down again. You feel the solid earth beneath you. You take a breath, and you resume your gentle, patient watching. With every thought that floats by, you can practice a silent internal labeling, planning, remembering, worrying, judging. The label is not to analyze the thought, but simply to acknowledge it, to recognize it for what it is. This simple act of naming creates a vital space. It helps you to see the thought as an event in the mind, rather than as an absolute reality or a command you must obey. This leads us to a crucial understanding. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness that is aware of your thoughts. There is a profound difference between saying, "I am anxious," and saying, "I am noticing the presence of anxious thoughts." The first statement is a declaration of identity. It is solid, heavy, and confining. The second statement is an observation. It is light, spacious, and freeing. It recognizes that you are the sky, not the passing weather. A thought is just a little puff of energy in the mind. It is a combination of words and images. It has no inherent power. The only power it has is the power you give it, by believing it, by identifying with it, by jumping into the river for it. When you learn to sit on the bank, the thoughts lose their power over you. You are reclaiming your freedom. In the Buddhist tradition, the untrained mind is often called the monkey mind. Imagine a small, restless monkey trapped inside a room. The room has 6 open windows, representing our 6 senses. The monkey is constantly agitated. It chatters incessantly. It leaps from the window of sight to the window of sound, then gets bored and jumps to the window of memory, then to the window of future plans, then to the window of judgment. It is never still. It can never find peace. This is our mind when left to its own devices. It is exhausting. For many years, you may have been trying to tame this monkey by yelling at it, by trying to lock it in a cage. But this only makes the monkey more frantic, more afraid, and more chaotic. The path of wisdom offers a different approach. It suggests that you simply sit down quietly in the very center of the room. You take your seat, you ground yourself in your breath, and you just watch the monkey. You don't interfere. You don't judge its antics. You don't feed it or fight with it. You just observe its restless energy with a patient and compassionate curiosity, and a miracle begins to happen. The monkey, which thrives on attention and reaction, starts to notice your calm presence. It might screech and jump around for a while, trying to get a rise out of you, but when it sees you are just sitting there, watching with gentle acceptance, it begins to change. The frantic energy starts to subside. The chattering grows quieter. It begins to feel safe in your peaceful presence. After a time, the monkey might even cautiously approach you, and perhaps, just for a moment, it will come and sit quietly by your side, finally finding a moment of rest. You do not tame the monkey by force. You tame it with the power of your own steady, loving presence. You are this loving presence. You are not the monkey. So as you lie here, simply rest as the silent, compassionate witness. Watch the parade of thoughts. Become a gentle scientist of your own mind. Notice, where do these thoughts seem to come from? Do they appear from a particular place? And where do they go when they vanish? Notice how they have no solid form. Like a dream, like a rainbow. They appear out of nowhere. They linger for a moment, and they dissolve back into the nothingness from which they came. They are utterly impermanent. Knowing this, why would we build our identity on something so fleeting and insubstantial? Rest in the awareness that is prior to thought. Before the next thought arises, there is a space, a gap of silence. This silence, this stillness, is your true nature. It is always here, beneath the surface noise of the mind. The thoughts are just ripples on the surface of a deep, calm ocean. You are not the ripples. You are the ocean. So let the leaves float down the river. Let the monkey play. Let the thoughts come and go. You remain here, seated, calm, aware, resting in the boundless peace of your own true being. As we continue to rest here, as the silent witness on the riverbank of the mind, we begin to notice something more. We notice that some of the leaves floating by, some of the thoughts, carry a distinct charge, a certain color, a palpable energy. A memory might arise, and with it comes a pang of sadness. A thought about a future event might appear, and bring with it a tremor of anxiety. These energies, these currents that flow beneath the surface of our thoughts, are our emotions. And for most of our lives, our relationship with our emotions, especially the difficult ones, has been one of conflict. We have been taught by our families, by our society, that some feelings are acceptable while others are not. We welcome joy, but we push away sadness. We embrace excitement, but we suppress our anger. We have become experts at avoiding, numbing, and distracting ourselves from what we truly feel. We fear that if we truly allow ourselves to feel our grief, we will drown in an endless ocean of tears. We fear that if we truly touch our anger, it will erupt into a destructive fire that consumes us and everyone around us. We fear that our anxiety, if we give it any attention, will become a monster that paralyzes us completely. And so we run, we hide, we build dams of denial and walls of resistance. But the great secret of the heart is this: what you resist persists. The energy of an unfelt emotion does not disappear. It gets trapped in the body, manifesting as tension in the shoulders, a knot in the stomach, a tightness in the throat. It fuels the very anxieties and depressions we are so desperate to escape. Tonight, we will try a different way, a gentler, braver way. We will stop running. We will turn around, and we will learn to make friends with what is here. Let us begin by reframing our entire understanding. Emotions are not your enemies. They are not mistakes. They are messengers. They are a form of deep, intuitive intelligence, speaking to you in the language of your body, delivering vital information about your inner world and your needs. Sadness is a messenger that arrives to tell you that something you value has been lost, or that a deep longing of your heart has gone unmet. Anger is a powerful messenger that tells you a boundary has been violated, or that an injustice has occurred. Anxiety is a well-intentioned, if sometimes overzealous, messenger from an ancient part of your brain that is simply trying to keep you safe from a perceived future threat. When we receive a letter, we do not get angry at the postal worker. We thank them, and we open the letter to read the message inside. The practice of befriending our emotions is the practice of learning to read our own inner mail. Instead of shooting the messenger, we learn to listen to its message. The first step in this gentle process is simply to acknowledge and name what is present. Just as we did with our thoughts, this simple act of labeling creates a crucial space. It stops the emotion from being an all-consuming identity and turns it into a manageable, observable experience. So as you lie here, just check in with your heart. What is the emotional weather inside you right now? Without judgment, without needing to change anything, can you gently, silently name it? Perhaps it is a quiet feeling of peace. If so, simply name it, peace. Perhaps there is a subtle undercurrent of anxiety. Name it, anxiety is here. Perhaps there is loneliness or sadness. or even a touch of anger or frustration. Just name it. Sadness. I see you. Loneliness. You are not saying, I am sad. You are saying, I am noticing the presence of sadness. Can you feel the difference? In that small shift of language, there is a universe of freedom. You are no longer the storm. You are the vast open sky that is holding the storm. Once you have gently named the emotion, the next step is to invite your curiosity. Where does this messenger live in your body? Emotions are not abstract concepts. They are physical, energetic events. So, if you are noticing sadness, where in your body do you feel it? Scan your body with the same kind of gentle attention we practiced earlier. Is it a heaviness in the center of your chest? A hollow feeling in your stomach? A sense of fatigue in your limbs? If you are feeling anxiety, where does that reside? Is it a frantic, fluttering energy in your solar plexus? A tightness in your throat that makes it hard to swallow? A coldness in your hands and feet? There is no need to analyze why it's there. Just be a gentle scientist, gathering data. Okay, the experience I am calling anxiety feels like a buzzing sensation in my chest and a tightness in my throat. By locating it in the body, you have taken it out of the realm of overwhelming story and brought it into the realm of manageable physical sensation. Now comes the most transformative part of the practice. We will learn to hold this sensation with our breath and with our kindness. Whatever you are feeling, wherever you feel it in your body, I invite you to direct your breath towards that very spot. Imagine that your in-breath, full of warmth and oxygen and life, can travel directly to that area of tightness or heaviness or emptiness. You are not trying to blast the feeling away. You are doing something far more profound. You are surrounding it with your gentle, loving presence. You are breathing into it, creating space around it. And on the out-breath, just imagine that area softening, even just 5%. You are not trying to push the feeling out of you. You are simply learning to stay with it, to hold it, to cradle it with your own awareness. Imagine you are holding a small, frightened child. You wouldn't yell at the child to stop crying. You would hold them close, rock them gently, and whisper, "It's okay. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." This is how you must learn to treat the wounded, frightened parts of yourself. You become your own loving parent. You hold yourself with a tenderness that you may have never received from the outside world. In the time of the Buddha, there was a terrifying murderer named Angulimala, which means garland of fingers, because he wore a necklace made from the fingers of his victims. He was a figure of pure terror. When he entered a village, people would scream and bolt their doors. Everyone ran from him. One day, the Buddha was walking on a path, and he saw Angulimala in the distance, running towards him, sword drawn. The Buddha's attendant begged him to flee, but the Buddha just continued to walk calmly and mindfully. Angulimala, seeing this, shouted, "Stop, monk! Stop!" The Buddha, still walking peacefully, replied in a calm, clear voice, "I have stopped, Angulimala. It is you who has not stopped." He meant that he had stopped creating violence, stopped running from fear, stopped the cycle of hatred. Angulimala was so utterly disarmed by the Buddha's fearless, compassionate presence that he dropped his sword, fell to his knees, and eventually became one of the Buddha's most devoted followers. Within each of us, there are our own Angulimalas, our rage, our deepest grief, our shame, our terror. These are the energies that we have spent our entire lives running from. We believe they will destroy us if we face them. The path of the Buddha, the path of healing, teaches us to do the unthinkable, to stop running, to turn around, and to meet these powerful, terrifying energies with the calm, steady, fearless presence of our own loving awareness. It is this compassionate presence that has the power to disarm our inner demons, to transform their destructive energy, and to integrate them back into the wholeness of our being. This is the highest form of courage. So as you rest here, whatever emotions may be visiting you tonight, see if you can meet them in this way, not with fear, not with resistance, but with a friendly curiosity and a brave, open heart. You are simply offering these long-exiled parts of yourself a safe harbor. You are telling them, you are allowed to be here, you are seen, you are welcome. This is the true meaning of healing. It is not about getting rid of the unwanted parts of ourselves, but about integrating them with love. Rest now in the vast, peaceful embrace of your own brave heart. As we learn to sit with the weather of our inner world, as we learn to hold our thoughts and emotions with a tender, open-hearted presence, a deeper question may gently begin to surface from the quiet. It is a question that whispers in our most honest moments. Why? Why is there this persistent, low-level hum of unease in our lives? Why is there a restlessness that follows us even into our moments of success? Why does it feel like we are always striving, always leaning forward, never quite arriving at a lasting place of peace? We might achieve a goal, find a moment of joy, or experience a period of calm, but inevitably, the subtle feeling that something is not quite right, that something is missing, returns. Over 2,500 years ago, a man who would become known as the Buddha, the Awakened One, dedicated his life to investigating this very question. He was not a god, but a human being of extraordinary insight, a kind of spiritual scientist or a profound physician of the soul. He was not interested in theories or blind faith. He was interested in looking directly, honestly, and courageously at the raw experience of human life to understand its fundamental nature. And after a long and deep exploration, he made a discovery, a diagnosis of the human condition that has resonated through the ages. It is the first of his Four Noble Truths, and it is a truth that, when understood with the heart, can be profoundly liberating. He said that a fundamental characteristic of our existence is a quality he called dukkha. This ancient word is often translated as suffering, but that single word can be misleading. It does not just mean the intense pain of tragedy, illness, or loss, although it certainly includes those things. More often, for most of us, dukkha manifests in much subtler ways. It is the background static of anxiety that hums beneath our daily activities. It is the low-grade, pervasive feeling of unsatisfactoriness. It is the sense that life is slightly out of tune, that things are not quite as they should be. It is the perpetual itch that you can never quite scratch. Think of the small, everyday moments. The irritation you feel when you are stuck in traffic and late for an appointment. That is dukkha, the subtle pang of envy you feel when you see someone on social media living a life that seems more exciting than your own. That is dukkha, the restless feeling of boredom that makes you reach for your phone without even thinking about it. That is dukkha, the fleeting pleasure of a new purchase, followed by the inevitable sense of emptiness when the novelty wears off. That, too, is the footprint of dukkha. It is the friction that arises from the gap between the way things are and the way we desperately want them to be. It is the inherent stress of trying to find solid ground in a world that is constantly shifting, constantly changing. Having diagnosed the condition, the Buddha then looked for its cause. Why do we experience this constant friction? He discovered that the root of dukkha lies deep within our own minds. It is driven by a powerful, relentless engine of wanting and not wanting. He called this force tanha, which translates as thirst or craving. It is a deep, primal thirst for things to be different than they are. This thirst has two primary faces: craving and aversion. Craving is the constant leaning forward. It is the voice that whispers, if only I had more money, a better job, a more loving partner, a different body, a bigger house, then I would finally be happy. It is the belief that our peace and happiness are located somewhere in the future, attached to an external object, person, or accomplishment. And so we spend our lives chasing these things, like a hungry ghost with an unquenchable thirst, always seeking the next hit of pleasure, the next dose of validation, the next experience that will make us feel whole. But because everything in the world is impermanent, no satisfaction ever lasts. The chase is endless and therefore exhausting. The other face of this thirst is aversion. This is the pushing away. While craving is pulling what we like towards us, aversion is shoving what we don't like away from us. We spend enormous amounts of energy resisting our present experience. We resist unpleasant feelings like sadness or fear. We resist physical pain or discomfort. We resist people who annoy us and situations that challenge us. This constant pushing, this internal no, creates a state of tension, struggle, and contraction in our minds and bodies. We are at war with reality, a war we can never win, because what is happening is already happening. This endless cycle of grasping for pleasure and pushing away pain is the engine that creates our stress, our anxiety, and our deep sense of unsatisfactoriness. The Buddha illustrated this with a powerful and simple parable. He said that in life, we are all, at some point, shot by a first arrow. This first arrow represents the unavoidable pain and difficulty of being human. It is getting sick. It is losing a loved one. It is facing disappointment. It is receiving an unkind word. It is the pain of your body aging. These first arrows are a natural part of life. They are, to a large extent, outside of our control. They happen to everyone. But, the Buddha said, most of us do not stop there. The moment we are struck by the first arrow of inevitable pain, we almost invariably shoot ourselves with a second arrow. This second arrow is our reaction to the first. It is the story we tell ourselves about the pain. It is the storm of thoughts and emotions that we generate in response to the initial event. It is the thought, why me? This is unfair. I can't stand this. This shouldn't be happening. It is the anger, the blame, the self-pity, the fear, the resentment. It is all the mental proliferation that we add on top of the original, clean pain. The Buddha's profound insight was this: the pain of the first arrow is inevitable, but the suffering of the second arrow is optional. Our entire spiritual practice, in many ways, is the practice of learning not to shoot that second arrow. It is the practice of learning to be with the clean pain of the first arrow, with acceptance, with grace, and with compassion for ourselves. It is learning to feel the physical discomfort, the sadness, the loss, without adding the layer of mental stories and resistance that turns simple pain into prolonged suffering. Now, hearing this, a part of our mind might protest that this sounds pessimistic or negative, but in truth, it is the opposite. Imagine you go to a doctor with a persistent illness, a doctor who tells you, "Oh, don't worry, everything is fine," is not helping you. A doctor who courageously and accurately diagnoses the root cause of your illness is not being pessimistic. They are being realistic. And it is only from that clear, honest diagnosis that a path to true healing can be prescribed. To see and accept the truth of dukkha is the first step toward liberation from it. It is not a sentence to a life of misery. It is the permission to stop undertaking an impossible task. You can finally stop trying to make an impermanent, uncontrollable world give you permanent, controllable happiness. You can stop blaming yourself for feeling anxious or dissatisfied, recognizing it as a shared part of the human condition. It is like finally putting down a heavy, invisible backpack that you didn't even realize you were carrying your entire life. In acknowledging the truth of the first arrow, you free yourself from the self-inflicted wound of the second. And in this acceptance, in this honest seeing, a new kind of peace begins to dawn. A peace that is not dependent on circumstances being perfect, but one that is found in the heart of reality itself. Having looked with courage at the reality of our inner restlessness, at the subtle dissatisfaction the Buddha called dukkha, we now turn our attention to its constant companion, its deepest root. We begin to look at the very fabric of existence itself, at the fundamental law that governs everything inside and outside of us. This is the second great truth the Buddha pointed to, a truth so profound and so pervasive that we often overlook it, like the air we breathe. This is the truth of anicca, the universal law of impermanence. It is the simple, radical, and undeniable reality that everything changes, nothing lasts. Everything is in a constant state of flux. At first, this idea might feel unsettling. Our minds are deeply conditioned to seek stability, to crave permanence, to build solid ground upon which we can stand. We want our happiness to last forever, our loved ones to be with us forever, our health and youth to be constant. The truth of impermanence seems to threaten all of this. It can feel like a loss, a source of grief and anxiety. But the Buddha taught that a wise and gentle understanding of impermanence is not a source of suffering, but the very key that unlocks the prison of our clinging. It is the master key that, when we learn to use it, does not lead to despair, but to a profound and unshakable peace. To understand this truth, we do not need to look far. We do not need to believe in any dogma. We need only to observe our own direct experience, right here, right now. Let us begin with the anchor that has been with us all along, the breath. Bring your attention back to the simple sensation of breathing. Notice the life of a single breath. An in-breath is born from a space of stillness. It grows and swells, reaching its peak. And then it turns, it dissolves, it dies, and it gives way to the out-breath. The out-breath too has its life. It is born, it flows, and it dissolves back into the stillness from which the next breath will arise. Each and every breath is a perfect, miniature lesson in the nature of impermanence. Birth, life, and death, happening over and over again in this simple, gentle rhythm. Nothing is held, nothing is static. It is a constant, fluid process. Now, let us open our awareness to the sounds around us, just as we did before. Listen. A sound arises out of the vast ocean of silence. Perhaps it is the hum of a machine or the distant sound of a car. It exists for a few moments, and then, inevitably, it fades. It dissolves back into the silence. It is replaced by another sound, which will also have its brief life before disappearing. The entire soundscape of your world is a shimmering, ever-changing tapestry of transient vibrations. It never stays the same for even a single second. Let us bring this awareness into the landscape of the body. Notice the flow of physical sensations. Perhaps there is a feeling of warmth in your hands, a tingling in your feet, a sense of pressure where your body meets the bed. Observe any one of these sensations with a steady, curious attention. You will see that it is not a solid, fixed thing. It shimmers, It pulsates. Its intensity might increase or decrease. It might shift its location slightly. It is not a noun, but a verb. It is a process, a constant unfolding of energy. And what about this body itself, which feels so solid, so me? This body is not the same body you had 7 years ago, or even 7 minutes ago. Billions of cells are dying and being born within you in this very moment. Your blood is circulating. Your lungs are processing air. Food is being digested. It is not a fixed entity. It is a slow-moving river of biological processes, a magnificent, ever-changing event. The same is true for the contents of your mind. Think of your thoughts. As we have seen, they are like clouds passing through the sky, appearing from nowhere and dissolving into nowhere. And your emotions? The weather of your heart is in constant flux. The joy you felt this morning may have given way to the fatigue you feel tonight. The anxiety you felt yesterday may have been replaced by a sense of calm today. Nothing within you is permanent. Your personality, your beliefs, your opinions, they all evolve and change with new experiences and new wisdom. We create so much suffering for ourselves by trying to cling to a fixed idea of who we are, while reality is constantly showing us that we are a process, not a product. We are a dance, not a statue. The most poignant and painful way we encounter the truth of impermanence is through loss. There is a deeply moving story from the life of the Buddha that illustrates this with profound compassion. A young woman named Kisa Gotami had an infant son, whom she loved more than life itself. One day, the child fell ill and died. Kisa Gotami was consumed by a grief so powerful that it bordered on madness. She refused to accept that her son was gone. She picked up his small, lifeless body and went from house to house in her village, desperately begging for medicine that could bring him back. Some people mocked her, others pitied her, but no one could help. Finally, a wise old man, seeing her unbearable sorrow, told her, "I cannot give you medicine for your child, but I know a physician who can. Go to the Buddha." Kisa Gotami ran to find him, laid her son at his feet, and pleaded for help. The Buddha looked at her with immense compassion and said, "I can help you, but first, you must do one thing for me. Go back into the village and bring me a single mustard seed from a house where no one has ever experienced death, a house where no child, parent, spouse, or friend has ever died." Filled with a desperate hope, Kisa Gotami went from door to door. At the first house, a kind woman said, "Of course I will give you a mustard seed." But when Kisa Gotami asked her question, the woman's face fell. "Alas," she said, "the living are few, but the dead are many. I lost my beloved husband just last year." Kisa Gotami went to the next house, and the next, and the next. The story was the same, everywhere. Every family had a story of loss. One had lost a parent, another a sibling, another a dear friend. As the day wore on, her desperate search for an exception transformed into a profound, shared experience of sorrow. She realized that her devastating grief was not a unique curse visited upon her family. It was the universal, unavoidable truth of all human life. Death was not the exception, it was the rule. With this deep realization dawning in her heart, she was no longer alone in her pain. Her personal tragedy connected her to the shared river of human suffering. She understood. She took her son's body to the cremation ground, and holding him one last time, she said, "I thought that only my child had been claimed by death, but I see now that this is the law for all living things." She had finally understood impermanence, not as a cruel thief, but as the fundamental nature of reality. And in that acceptance, she found the beginning of her peace. This story teaches us that fighting reality is the source of our deepest suffering. When we understand and accept the law of change, it liberates us in two powerful ways. When you are experiencing difficult time pain, grief, fear, or despair, the wisdom of impermanence becomes a light of hope. You can say to yourself with confidence, "This too shall pass." No storm lasts forever. No night is eternal. The pain will soften. The grief will change its shape. This knowledge gives you the strength to endure, knowing that change is on your side. And when you are experiencing joyful moments of love, beauty, connection, and happiness, the wisdom of impermanence offers a different, equally precious gift. It is not meant to diminish your joy by reminding you that it will end. On the contrary, it is meant to heighten it, to make it more vibrant, more precious. Because this moment is fleeting, you are invited to be fully present for it, to drink it in completely, to cherish the sweetness without clinging to it. You love more deeply, you appreciate more fully, you live more vividly, because you know that this moment is a unique and unrepeatable gift. Impermanence is not a flaw in the system. It is the system. It is what makes life possible. It is the law of change that allows for healing, for growth, for forgiveness, for learning. It is the great river that carries everything along. Tonight, let us stop fighting the current. Let us stop trying to build dams against the flow. Instead, we can learn to float. We can learn to relax into the water, trusting that the river knows where it is going. Rest now in the gentle, ever-changing, ever-flowing current of this living moment. As we continue to rest in the gentle, flowing river of impermanence, as we come to see that everything we experience, from our breath to our bodies to the world itself, is in a constant state of flux, a natural and profound question begins to arise from the depths of our being. If everything is changing, then who is the one who is witnessing all this change? Who is this I that seems to be at the center of my universe? Who is this me that feels joy, that thinks thoughts, that experiences this life? We have spent our entire lives assuming the answer is simple. There is a solid, continuous, and separate self, a central character in the story of our life. We call it by our name. We give it a personality, a list of likes and dislikes, a history full of triumphs and wounds, and a future full of hopes and fears. We spend the vast majority of our mental and emotional energy polishing, promoting, and protecting this self. It is our most precious, most fundamental possession. The Buddha, in his deep and courageous investigation of reality, invites us to do something truly radical, something that goes against our most basic instincts. He invites us to gently, and with great curiosity, go looking for this self. The purpose of this search is not to destroy or annihilate anything. It is simply to see with our own wisdom whether this solid, separate self we assume is there can actually be found when we look for it closely. This investigation, when undertaken with a quiet mind and an open heart, is the third great discovery on the path to freedom. It is the wisdom of anatta, or no self. Let us embark on this gentle inquiry together, not as an intellectual exercise, but as a direct exploration of our own experience. We will start with the most obvious candidate for what we call me, the physical body. As you lie here, bring your awareness to your body. Is this body truly you? Is it a permanent, reliable self? We have already seen that it is a flowing river of processes, constantly changing, with cells dying and being born. It gets sick without our permission. It ages against our will. It feels pleasure and pain based on causes and conditions far beyond the control of a central me. If this body were truly me or mine, we would be able to command it. Do not get old. Do not get sick. Be comfortable forever. But we cannot. The body follows its own natural laws. It is a biological process we are experiencing, a temporary home, not the permanent resident itself. So we look at the body and we see the self is not found here. Very well. Perhaps the self is not the body, but our feelings and emotions. When a pleasant feeling arises, we say, I am happy. When a painful emotion surfaces, we say, I am sad. We identify so strongly with these feelings, but are they the real, solid you? As we have seen, feelings are like the weather. They are completely dependent on conditions. A kind word creates a pleasant feeling. A traffic jam creates an unpleasant one. They are visitors that come and go, often with incredible speed. If you were your feelings, your identity would be shifting from moment to moment, from joy to sorrow to anger to peace, with no underlying stability at all. Furthermore, if you were truly your feelings, you could decide to feel joyful and peaceful for the rest of your life. But you cannot. Feelings arise and pass away according to their own nature. We can learn to be with them, but we are not them. So we look at our feelings and we see the self is not found here either. Let us continue our search. What about our thoughts? Surely our mind, our intellect, our opinions and beliefs are the core of who we are, but we have sat on the riverbank and watched the stream of thoughts float by. We have seen how random, how contradictory, how chaotic they can be. One moment the mind produces a thought of immense generosity, the next, a thought of petty judgment. It plans for the future. It regrets the past. It fantasizes about things that will never happen. How can this restless, chattering monkey be the stable, coherent essence of our being? And if you say, I am my thoughts, then who is the one that is aware of the thoughts? Who is the witness on the riverbank? The very fact that you can observe your thoughts proves that you are not your thoughts. You are the awareness in which the thoughts appear. So we look at our thoughts and we see the self is not found here. What remains? Perhaps there is a core observer, a pure consciousness that is the real me. But let us look closely at consciousness itself. Is it a single, continuous thing? Or does it also arise based on conditions? Seeing consciousness arises when there is an eye and a visible object. Hearing consciousness arises when there is an ear and a sound. The consciousness of a memory arises when there is a trigger. It is not a monolithic entity, but a flickering process, arising and passing away with every moment of experience. It is utterly dependent on other things. It has no independent, solid existence of its own. So we have looked in the body, in our feelings, in our thoughts, and even in consciousness itself, and we cannot find a separate, permanent, unchanging self anywhere. This can be a startling realization. It is as if we have been searching a house for a person who we were told lives there. But after looking in every single room, we find no one. There is a famous dialogue that illustrates this perfectly. A wise Greek king named Melinda went to challenge a great Buddhist sage, Nagasena. The king, a formidable debater, asked Nagasena his name. The sage replied that he was known as Nagasena, but that this was just a convenient name, a designation, and that no permanent person could be found. The king was amused and asked, "If there is no person, then who is it that wears these robes and eats your food?" He then pointed to his own magnificent royal chariot and challenged the sage, "Just as this is my chariot, you are you." Nagasena smiled and began a gentle deconstruction. He asked, "Your Majesty, did you walk here, or did you arrive in a chariot?" "I arrived in a chariot," said the king. "Then please, Your Majesty, explain to me what a chariot is. Is the pole that the horses are yoked to the chariot?" "No, venerable sir," replied the king. Nagasena continued, "Are the wheels the chariot? Is the axle the chariot? Is the wooden frame the chariot? Are the reins the chariot?" To each question, the king had to answer, "Number." Then Nagasena asked, "Is the chariot something different from all of those parts put together?" The king again had to concede, "Number." Nagasena then delivered the final, illuminating point. Chariot, Your Majesty, is simply a convenient name, a label we use when the pole, the wheels, the axle, and the frame are all assembled and working together. But when you look for the essential, independent chariotness of it, it cannot be found. He then brought the lesson home. In exactly the same way, Nagasena is just a convenient name, a label used when this body, these feelings, these thoughts, and this consciousness are all assembled and working together. But when you search for a permanent, separate, controlling self, apart from these changing processes, it simply cannot be found. This insight is not meant to be frightening. It is meant to be the ultimate liberation. Imagine for a moment the immense and exhausting effort we expend every single day to protect and defend this imaginary self. We feel deeply hurt when our self is criticized or insulted. We feel puffed up with pride when our self is praised. We feel the sting of jealousy when another self seems more successful or happier than ours. We live in constant, low-level fear of the ultimate insult to this self, its dissolution in death. Understanding no self is like setting down the heaviest shield in the world, a shield you didn't even know you were carrying. Suddenly, there is no fixed entity to defend. Criticism is no longer a personal attack, but simply information, feedback that may or may not be useful. Praise is no longer a source of ego inflation, but simply an expression of kindness from another. The desperate need to be right, to win an argument, to prove your worth, simply begins to soften and fall away. An immense amount of energy is liberated. And what rushes in to fill the space left by this dissolving sense of separation? Connection. Deep, profound, and intimate connection with all of life. When you see that you are not a separate island, you realize you are a wave in the great ocean of existence. You are not just living in the universe. You are the universe experiencing itself. The air you are breathing was just recently inside a plant. The water that makes up your body was once a cloud. The food that nourishes you was once sunlight and earth. Your ideas, your language, your very ability to think were given to you by countless generations who came before. The loneliness that haunts so many of us is born from the illusion of separation. In the wisdom of no self, that loneliness dissolves into a felt sense of profound belonging. You are not a thing. You are a process. You are not a noun. You are a verb. You are a dance of life, inseparable from the whole cosmos. Relax into this dance. Let go of the exhausting project of being a somebody and discover the boundless joy of being part of everything. As the solid walls of the separate self begin to soften, as we begin to see ourselves not as isolated islands but as interconnected waves in the great ocean of life, a new and beautiful possibility opens up for the heart. If the illusion of separation is the root of our fear and loneliness, then the recognition of our profound connection is the source of our love and compassion. When we truly understand that our own well-being is intrinsically linked to the well-being of others, the heart naturally begins to open. From this fertile ground of insight, we can now consciously cultivate one of the most sublime and healing qualities of the human spirit. This quality is known in the ancient Pali language as metta. Metta is often translated as loving kindness, but it is deeper and more vast than our ordinary concepts of love. It is not the possessive, romantic love that so often brings with it attachment and pain. It is not a sentimental feeling or a passive wish. Metta is an active cultivation of a boundless, unconditional, and benevolent friendlinsa, sincere and powerful wish for the genuine happiness and well-being of all living things, without exception and without discrimination. It is the steady, radiant warmth of the sun, which shines its light freely on saints and sinners, on flowers and weeds, asking for nothing in return. It is the ultimate antidote to fear, anger, jealousy, and resentment. Tonight, we will learn how to plant the seeds of this radiant warmth in the garden of our own hearts. The practice of metta begins in the one place we so often neglect. It begins with ourselves. For how can we offer clean water to others from a poisoned well? How can we offer genuine kindness to the world if we are at war with ourselves? For so many of us, this is the most difficult step, for we have been trained to be our own harshest critics, to focus on our flaws, to believe we are not worthy of love until we are perfect. This practice gently challenges that belief. It invites you, perhaps for the first time, to offer yourself the same unconditional kindness you would so freely offer to a dear friend or a beloved child. So, I invite you now to bring your awareness to the area around your heart, in the center of your chest. Let your attention rest there softly. And now, see if you can find one small thing about yourself that you can genuinely appreciate. It does not have to be anything monumental. Perhaps you can recall a small act of kindness you performed, a time you were patient when you could have been angry. Perhaps you can appreciate your love for an animal, your passion for music, or your quiet determination to get through a difficult day. Find just one small seed of your own inherent goodness. Allow yourself to feel the warmth of that quality, however faint it may be. Let that feeling begin to glow in your heart center, like a small, warm, golden light. Now, as you hold your attention on this warm, glowing light, we will begin to, silently, gently, repeat some phrases of well-wishing directed towards yourself. Let the words be soft and feel the intention behind them. Silently, in your mind, offer yourself this blessing. May I be safe. May I be healthy and strong. May I be happy and content. May I live my life with ease. Continue to repeat these phrases slowly, rhythmically, letting them sink into your being. May I be safe, safe from inner and outer harm. May I be healthy, my body and mind functioning in harmony. May I be happy, finding a genuine contentment that does not depend on external things. May I live with ease, free from the great burdens of anxiety, guilt, and fear. If you feel resistance, if a critical voice arises, that is perfectly normal. Don't fight it. Simply acknowledge the voice, and then gently return to the phrases, as a mother would gently return to singing a lullaby to a restless child. You are learning a new language of the heart. Be patient with yourself. Just for these few moments, give yourself permission to be the recipient of your own boundless, loving kindness. Now, keeping that warm, golden light glowing in your heart, let us expand our circle of kindness. Bring to mind a person for whom you feel easy and uncomplicated love and appreciation. This might be a dear friend, a beloved family member, a mentor, or even a cherished pet. Someone who, when you think of them, naturally makes you smile. Picture this being clearly in your mind's eye. See them in a moment of joy, smiling, laughing, their eyes full of light. As you hold their image, allow the natural feeling of affection you have for them to well up in your heart, amplifying the golden light that is already there. Now, from your heart center, imagine sending a beam of this warm, golden light directly to their heart. And as you do, extend the phrases of loving kindness to them. May you be safe. May you be healthy and strong. May you be happy and content. May you live your life with ease. Really mean it. Feel the sincere wish for their well-being flowing from you to them. See them receiving this light, this warmth, this blessing. Feel the joy in wishing another being well. Notice how this act of generous well-wishing does not deplete your own store of happiness, but actually increases it. The heart is not a container that can be emptied. It is a spring that produces more water the more freely it is allowed to flow. Next, we will gently stretch the muscle of the heart. Bring to mind a neutral person. This is someone you see in your daily life, but for whom you feel neither strong-like nor dislike. It could be the cashier at your local grocery store, the person who delivers your mail, a neighbor you see but don't know well. Picture this person in your mind. And now, take a moment to reflect. This person, just like you, wants to be happy. Just like you, they have their own family, their own private hopes, their own secret fears, their own story full of struggles you know nothing about. In this shared humanity, in this shared desire for peace and happiness, connect with them, and from this place of recognition, extend the same golden light from your heart to theirs. Send them the very same wishes you offered to yourself and to your dear friend. May you be safe. May you be healthy and strong. May you be happy and content. May you live your life with ease. In this act, you are breaking down the artificial barriers of indifference that we so often erect around our hearts. You are recognizing the interconnectedness of all beings. Your kindness is becoming more inclusive, more boundless. Now we come to the most challenging and perhaps the most transformative stage of this practice, and I invite you to approach it with great care. There is no pressure to succeed. The intention itself is what matters. We will now bring to mind a difficult person. For this practice tonight, it is wise to start with someone who causes you only mild irritation or difficulty, not someone who has caused you deep trauma. This is not about forcing forgiveness or condoning harmful actions. This is about freeing your own heart from the prison of resentment. Holding on to anger, as the Buddha said, is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. So, bring this person to mind. And before offering the phrases, try to see this person through the eyes of wisdom. See that their harmful words or actions almost certainly come from their own deep pain, their own ignorance, their own suffering. Happy and peaceful people do not go around causing harm. Only hurt people hurt people. They too are seeking happiness, but they are doing so in unskillful and destructive ways. Holding this compassionate understanding in your heart, see if it is possible, however tentatively, to extend a ray of that golden light towards them, and then offer the phrases. May you be safe. May you be healthy and strong. May you be happy and content. And may you be free from the suffering that causes you to create suffering for others. This last part is key. You are wishing for them to be healed, so that they no longer cause harm to themselves or to anyone else. If this feels too difficult, that is perfectly okay. You can simply wish, may I be free from the anger I feel towards this person. The practice is for your own liberation. In the stories of the Buddha's life, his jealous cousin Devadatta once tried to assassinate him by getting a fierce elephant named Nalagiri drunk, and letting it loose on the path where the Buddha was walking. As the elephant charged, trumpeting with rage, all of the Buddha's followers panicked and fled, but the Buddha stood his ground. He did not run, he did not fight. He simply looked at the enraged animal and radiated a powerful, unwavering field of pure metta. The story says that as the elephant entered this field of loving kindness, its rage dissolved. It slowed down, became calm, and knelt peacefully at the Buddha's feet. This is the power of a heart that is fully open and fearless. It can pacify the deepest anger and violence, both outside us and inside us. Our own rage, our own resentment, our own self-hatred, these are the raging elephants that metta has the power to tame. Finally, let us allow this golden light in our hearts to expand in all directions. Imagine it flowing out from you, forward and back, left and right, above and below. Let it fill the room, then the building, then the city, then the country. Let it spread across the entire globe, a boundless wave of warm, benevolent friendliness, touching every living being without exception. May all beings be safe. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be happy. May all beings everywhere live with ease and be free from suffering. Rest now in this boundless field of loving kindness. It is your true nature. It is the radiant home of the awakened heart. Having bathed our hearts in the warm, unconditional friendliness of metta, we find that the soil of our being has become softer, more receptive. Loving kindness is the gentle rain that prepares the ground, and in this softened ground, an even deeper flower can now begin to blossom. This is the flower of karuna, or compassion. If loving kindness is the sincere wish for all beings to be happy, compassion is its inseparable twin. The sincere wish for all beings to be free from suffering. They are the two wings of the same great bird of enlightenment, and one cannot fly without the other. As our hearts open to joy, they must also learn to open to sorrow. It is essential, as we begin this exploration, to understand what compassion is and what it is not. In our culture, we often confuse compassion with pity or with a kind of sentimental overwhelm, but they are profoundly different. Pity looks down from a position of superiority. It says, "Oh, you poor thing, how terrible your situation is," creating a distance between the observer and the one who suffers. Pity is weak, and it can be draining. Overwhelm, or empathic distress, is when we become so flooded by another's pain that we are paralyzed and have to turn away to protect ourselves. This is also not compassion. True compassion, karuna, is born from a place of wisdom and strength. It meets the other at eye level. It does not say, "You poor thing." It says, with quiet courage, "I see your pain. I am here with you. We are in this together." Compassion is not afraid of pain. It understands, from the wisdom of impermanence, that pain is a part of life. It is the heart's ability to tremble in the presence of suffering without shattering. It is the tender, courageous, and unwavering presence that allows for true healing to begin. It is the strength of a mighty tree that can bend in the storm without breaking. And just like loving kindness, this courageous quality must first be offered to ourselves. We cannot possibly sit with the suffering of the world if we are constantly running from the suffering within our own hearts. For many of us, there are inner exiles, wounded parts of ourselves that we have locked away in the dungeons of the mind. There might be the part of you that feels like a failure from a past mistake. There might be a part that carries the deep ache of loneliness or inadequacy. There might be a part of your body that lives with chronic pain. Our habit is to ignore these parts, to criticize them, to wish they would just go away. The practice of compassion invites us to do the opposite. It invites us to turn towards them with the utmost tenderness. So now, I invite you to gently bring to mind a part of yourself that is struggling. Perhaps it is a feeling of insecurity, a sense of grief you haven't fully processed, or a physical discomfort. See if you can visualize this part of you as a small, vulnerable child sitting alone in a dark room. This child is you, carrying your pain. Instead of ignoring the room or locking the door, imagine yourself opening the door, flooding the room with a soft, warm light. Walk over to this child, kneel down, and look into their eyes with limitless kindness. You do not need to say anything or fix anything. Your loving presence is enough. If words feel right, you can offer them silently from your heart. Hello, my dear one. I see you. I know you have been hurting for a long time. I am so sorry I have ignored you, but I am here now. You don't have to be alone with this pain anymore. I will stay with you. Place a gentle, imaginary hand on this child's heart. And now, let us use the breath as a vehicle for compassion. On your in-breath, gently and courageously breathe in, acknowledging the reality of this child's pain. And on your out-breath, breathe out a wave of softness, of safety, of acceptance. Breathe out the message: you are loved, you belong. Continue this for a few moments, breathing in, acknowledging the pain with tenderness, breathing out, sending its softness and love. This is the act of becoming your own healer, of reparenting the wounded places within you with the powerful balm of compassion. From this foundation of self-compassion, we can now begin to extend this quality outward. Bring to mind, gently, someone you know or have heard of who is currently suffering. It could be a friend going through a difficult breakup, a family member struggling with illness, or even people in a part of the world affected by conflict or natural disaster. Hold an image of this person or people softly in your heart. See them not as a tragic figure, but as a complete human being, just like you, caught in the grip of one of life's first arrows. See their inherent dignity, their inherent desire to be free from their pain. Now, we will engage in a practice of the heart, a profound meditation of giving and receiving. Ground yourself in the strength and peace of your own being. On your in-breath, with great courage and love, imagine that you are breathing in the essence of their suffering. You can visualize it as a dark, heavy, cool smoke. As this smoke enters your being, it does not harm you. Instead, it travels to the center of your heart, where that warm, golden light of loving kindness resides. This light is like an alchemical fire, a great furnace of compassion. It instantly incinerates the dark smoke, transforming the energy of suffering into light, into peace, into love. Then, on your out-breath, imagine that you are breathing out this transformed energy. Breathe out a brilliant, warm, healing light from your heart. See this light traveling to the person you are holding in your mind, surrounding them, embracing them, entering their being. With your out-breath, send them whatever they most need. Send them strength. Send them peace. Send them courage. Send them the relief of knowing they are not alone. Continue this rhythm for a while, breathing in the pain and transforming it, breathing out peace and offering it. This is not a magical act to fix their problems from afar. It is a profound training of your own heart. It is the practice of strengthening your compassion, so that when you encounter suffering in your life, you do not turn away in fear or pity, but can remain present with an open, strong, and loving heart. There is a legendary figure in Buddhist mythology who embodies this limitless compassion. This is the Bodhisattva known as Avalokiteshvara or Kwan Theum. The story says that after eons of practice, Avalokiteshvara had achieved perfect enlightenment and was ready to enter the final, blissful peace of nirvana. But as he stood on the very threshold of liberation, he paused. He heard a sound. It was the sound of the world. It was the collective cry of every being who was still suffering. It was the sound of a billion heartbreaks, the sound of every lonely tear, every cry of pain from hunger or illness or violence. Moved by this immeasurable suffering, Avalokiteshvara's heart was so deeply touched that he made a powerful vow. He turned back from the gates of his own final peace and declared, "I will not enter nirvana until every last being, down to the last blade of grass, has been liberated from suffering." In one telling of the story, his head explodes into 1,000 pieces from the sheer, overwhelming effort of trying to perceive all the suffering in the world. But he is instantly reborn, this time with 1,000 heads to better hear the cries of the world, and 1,000 arms to better reach out and offer help. Avalokiteshvara represents the ultimate potential of our own heart. It is a compassion so vast and so brave that it is willing to postpone its own peace to stay with the sorrow of the world. It is a heart that is not afraid of being broken, because it understands that a heart that is broken open can hold the entire universe. Compassion is not fragility. It is the most resilient and powerful force in existence. It is the courage that allows a first responder to run towards danger. It is the patience that allows a mother to sit all night with a sick child. It is the quiet strength that allows you to listen to a friend's grief without trying to fix it, offering only the profound gift of your presence. This is the strength you are cultivating now. This compassion is the deep wellspring of resilience that will allow you to meet the unavoidable pains of your own life with grace and courage. Rest now, feeling this quiet, unshakable strength in the center of your being. It is a heart that is no longer afraid of the dark because it trusts its own capacity to generate light. It is the source of all true healing for yourself and for the world. As our hearts are strengthened by the practice of compassion, as we become a safe harbor for our own difficult emotions, we may begin to feel a newfound courage. It is the courage to look into the darker corners of our inner world, to address some of the heaviest and oldest burdens we carry. These are the burdens of past hurts, the ghosts of old grievances, the wounds of resentment and blame that we carry silently, often for years or even decades. The energy it takes to carry these burdens is immense, and it drains us of the vitality we need to live fully in the present. Tonight, we will approach the sacred and misunderstood art of forgiveness, not as a moral duty, but as an act of ultimate compassion and liberation for ourselves. Let us begin by clearing away the debris of what forgiveness is not. Forgiveness is not about condoning harmful behavior. It is not about saying that what happened was okay, or that it didn't matter. The pain was real. The hurt was real. Forgiveness does not require you to forget what happened, nor does it mean you must reconcile with someone who has harmed you or allow them back into your life. You are not letting anyone off the hook. In fact, the practice of forgiveness has very little to do with the other person at all. It is an entirely internal process. It is the act of deciding that you will no longer allow the events of the past to create suffering for you in the present. It is the act of taking the hook, which has been lodged in your own heart for so long, and gently, lovingly removing it. It is a gift of peace that you give to yourself. Holding on to resentment is a form of self-imprisonment. The Buddha used a powerful simile to describe it. He said that holding on to anger and blame is like grasping a burning hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. Who is the one who gets burned? It is you. We think we are punishing the other person by replaying the hurtful event over and over in our minds, by fueling our anger and our sense of righteousness. But the other person is likely living their life, oblivious to our inner turmoil. We are the ones who are drinking the poison. We are the ones who are keeping the wound fresh, picking at the scab so it can never heal. We give the person who hurt us free rent in the precious real estate of our minds, allowing them to continue hurting us long after the initial event is over. Forgiveness, then, is the act of eviction. It is the act of reclaiming your own mind, your own heart, and your own life. It is the decision to stop carrying the hot coal. This is a delicate practice, so we will approach it with the utmost gentleness and care. There is no need to force anything. The simple, sincere intention to begin the process is powerful in itself. First, bring to your mind the feeling of your own being, resting here safely. Feel your breath. Feel the support of the surface beneath you. Remind yourself that in this present moment, you are safe, you are whole. From this place of safety, let us begin. I invite you now, if it feels right for you, to bring to mind someone who has hurt you. For this practice, it is wise to start with a smaller, more manageable hurt, not the deepest wound of your life. Perhaps a time a friend let you down, or a colleague spoke to you unkindly. Just a memory that still carries a small sting of resentment. Hold this memory gently. First, allow yourself to acknowledge the pain, the ouch of that first arrow. Validate your own feeling. Yes, that was painful. That hurt. Give yourself the compassion you may not have received at the time. Now, see if it is possible to look at the person who caused the hurt with the eyes of wisdom. See them not as a two-dimensional villain, but as another complex, flawed, and often suffering human being. Recognize that their harmful action almost certainly arose from their own private world of pain, their own ignorance, their own fear, or their own confusion. As we have said, only hurt people hurt people. This does not excuse their behavior, but it can help to soften our hearts around it. And now, see if you can make a quiet, firm decision in the sanctuary of your own heart. This decision is not for them, it is for you. You can say to them silently, I have carried the pain of this memory for long enough. I see the suffering that led you to act as you did. For the sake of my own peace, for the sake of my own freedom, I am no longer willing to carry this hot coal. I release you from the prison of my anger, and in releasing you, I set myself free. As you make this intention, you can imagine a cord of dark, heavy energy connecting your heart to this person or this memory. And with your powerful intention, with your next out-breath, imagine taking a pair of golden scissors and cleanly cutting that cord. Feel the weight lift. Feel the lightness that comes from letting go. Now, we turn to the person. It is often most difficult to forgive ourselves. We all carry a burden of guilt and shame for times in the past when we have caused harm through our actions, our words, or our inaction. We judge the person we were back then with the wisdom we have now, and we find ourselves wanting. We sentence ourselves to a lifetime of carrying that guilt. So I invite you now, with that same profound compassion, to bring to mind a time when you hurt another, or when you acted in a way that you now regret. Allow yourself to feel the sadness of that, the truth that you caused pain. Do not deny it or make excuses. But then, I invite you to look upon the person you were at that time with immense compassion. See the circumstances you were in. See the confusion, the fear, the ignorance, the immaturity, or the pain you were in that led you to act in that way. Realize that you were doing the best you could with the tools, the understanding, and the level of consciousness you had at that time. The very fact that you feel guilt or regret about it now is the undeniable proof of your own goodness. It is the proof that you have grown, that you have learned, that your heart has become wiser? Can you offer this past version of yourself the grace of forgiveness? You can place a hand gently over your own heart, a gesture of profound self-acceptance. And you can say to that younger you, silently, I see you. I see your pain and your confusion. I know you were doing the best you could. I forgive you. You have carried this burden for long enough. You are worthy of peace. You are worthy of love. I release you now. From this prison of shame, I set you free. Feel the inner embrace of this self-acceptance. Feel the peace that comes when the inner war is finally over. There is a wonderful Zen story about two monks, one older and one younger, who were on a long journey. Their monastic vows forbade them from touching a woman. One day, they came to a river with a powerful current. On the riverbank stood a beautiful young woman in fine silk robes, hesitating, afraid to cross for fear of ruining her clothes and being swept away. The younger monk, being very strict, walked right past her, ignoring her plight. The older monk, however, paused. Without a word, he hoisted the woman onto his shoulders, waded through the strong current, and gently set her down on the other side. She thanked him profusely, and he simply nodded and continued his journey. For the next several hours, the younger monk was silent, but he was seething inside with righteous anger and judgment. His mind was a storm. Finally, he could not contain it any longer. He burst out at his companion, "How could you do that? You know we are forbidden from touching a woman. It is a serious violation of our vows. You have defiled yourself." The older monk looked at his agitated junior with a completely calm and gentle expression. He replied, "Brother, I left that woman by the riverbank hours ago. Why are you still carrying her?" This story perfectly illustrates the nature of our resentments. We carry people and events in our minds long after they are over, allowing them to weigh us down, to defile our peace. Forgiveness is the art of learning to leave the past by the riverbank. It is a moment-to-moment practice of choosing the freedom of the present over the chains of the past. It liberates a tremendous amount of life force that was being consumed by old grievances. This energy is now available to you to be used for joy, for creativity, for love, for growth, for living this one precious life, fully and without the heavy burden of yesterday. Rest now, with a heart that is lighter, clearer, and more spacious than it was before. Having worked to release the heavy chains of the past through the grace of forgiveness, we now turn our attention to another, more subtle set of chains, the ones we ourselves forge to bind the future. These are our expectations. They are the intricate, invisible blueprints we hold in our minds for how everything is supposed to unfold. They are the silent contracts we write with life, with other people, and with ourselves, demanding that reality conform to our personal script. We carry these rigid blueprints everywhere we go, and then we wonder why we so often feel disappointed, frustrated, and let down. The source of so much of our daily anxiety and suffering is not reality itself, but the gap between reality and our tightly held expectations of it. Think of it this way. Within each of us resides a tireless inner scriptwriter, an anxious director who is constantly producing movies about the future. This director has a very specific vision for every scene. First, it writes a script for ourselves. This script is filled with a long list of shoulds and should nots. I should be more successful by now. I should have more self-discipline. I should always feel confident and never feel insecure. I should be a perfect parent, a perfect partner, a perfect friend. This creates a painful gap between the idealized version of ourselves that lives in our minds and the actual, complex, sometimes messy, beautifully imperfect human being that we are. We then live in the painful tension of this gap, constantly feeling like we are falling short, which gives rise to feelings of shame, guilt, and inadequacy. Next, our inner director writes scripts for other people. We have a detailed screenplay for how our partner is supposed to act, what they should say, and what they should know, without us even having to ask. We have expectations for how our friends should support us, how our children should behave, and how our colleagues should treat us. We project these roles onto the real, living people in our lives, and then we feel betrayed or resentful when they inevitably go off script. We are not reacting to them as they truly are. We are reacting to their failure to be the character we cast them as in our private movie. This prevents us from seeing and loving the real person in front of us, with all their own complexities and freedom. We fall in love with our idea of a person, and then we suffer when they reveal themselves to be simply themselves. Well, rel, to, as, to, well, idea of a person. Finally, we write a grand script for life itself. We hold an unspoken contract with the universe, full of clauses and conditions. If I work hard, I should be rewarded. If I am a good person, life should be fair and things should go my way. My carefully laid plans should succeed. My journey should be free from unexpected and unpleasant obstacles. We try to impose a rigid, predictable order onto a reality that is, by its very nature, wild, unpredictable, and defined by the law of impermanence we have already explored. This sets us up for a constant battle with life, an exhausting argument with what is, and in this argument with reality, reality always, without exception, wins. Our suffering does not arise from the event itself. It arises from the space between the event and our expectation. If you expect a sunny day for an outdoor picnic and it rains, the rain itself is not the source of your suffering. The rain is just water falling from the sky. Your suffering is the gap between the reality of the rain and your expectation of sunshine. It is your mental resistance, your inner no to what is already happening, that creates the friction, the stress, and the disappointment. When you let go of the expectation, the rain simply becomes a new set of circumstances to be met with creativity. Perhaps you have the picnic indoors, or you postpone it, or you decide to dance in the rain. Without the rigid expectation, you are free to respond to life as it actually is. Letting go of expectations is not the same as apathy or resignation. It does not mean you stop having dreams, goals, or a direction in life. It does not mean you become a passive leaf blown about by the wind. There is a crucial and beautiful distinction to be made here. The wisdom path teaches us to distinguish between intention and attachment. You can have a clear and powerful intention. You can set a goal to write a book, to get healthy, or to build a loving relationship. You point yourself in that direction with clarity and purpose. You pour your best effort into it. You act with integrity, skill, and care. This is a wholesome and vital part of life. The suffering begins with the next step, the attachment. This is the white-knuckled, desperate grip on a specific outcome. It is the belief that your happiness and peace of mind are entirely dependent on achieving that exact result in the exact way you imagined. Letting go is the practice of releasing this desperate grip. It is the practice of doing your absolute best and then opening your hand to accept whatever result comes. Imagine you are a skilled archer. You have control over your posture, your breathing, how you draw the bowstring, how you take aim. You focus all your energy and skill on these things, on the quality of your own actions. This is your intention. But once the arrow has left the bow, its flight is subject to the will of the wind, to unseen forces beyond your control. The wise archer does not run after the arrow, screaming at the wind. She has done her part. She lets the arrow go and accepts where it lands. Her sense of satisfaction comes from the quality of her archery, not from hitting the bullseye every single time. This is the shift from being attached to the outcome to being dedicated to the process. Let us try to feel this in the body. Bring to mind something you are currently striving for, a goal you deeply desire. First, feel what it is like to cling to it with expectation. Feel the energy of the thought, this must happen, exactly as I planned, or I will be devastated. Notice the tension that this creates in your body, a tightness in the jaw, a clenching in the stomach, a shallowing of the breath. This is the energy of attachment. It is rigid and fearful. Now, see if you can change your orientation. Keep the same goal, but change the mindset to one of intention and release. Let the inner attitude be, I will dedicate my best efforts to this. I will act with wisdom and love, and I am open to whatever unfolds. I trust that I can handle any outcome. Feel the shift in your body, a sense of softening, of opening, of groundedness. This is the energy of freedom. The Buddha told a famous parable to illustrate this wisdom. A man was on a long journey and came to the edge of a vast, treacherous river. There was no bridge and no ferry. To get to the other side, where his destination lay, he knew he had to cross the water. So, with great effort and ingenuity, he gathered reeds, logs, and vines, and he built himself a sturdy raft. The raft served him beautifully. Holding onto it, he was able to paddle safely across the dangerous river. When he arrived on the far bank, he looked back at the raft with immense gratitude. He thought to himself, this raft was so incredibly useful. It saved my life. It would be a shame to just leave it behind. And so, he decided to carry it with him. He hoisted the heavy, cumbersome raft onto his back and continued his journey on dry land, struggling and sweating under its pointless weight. The Buddha then asked his followers, what would a wise person have done? And the answer was obvious. A wise person would have been grateful for the raft, and then they would have left it by the riverbank and continued their journey, unburdened and free. The Buddha explained that his teachings, and indeed all our ideas, plans, and expectations, are like this raft. They are tools that can be incredibly useful for crossing a particular river, for navigating a particular challenge. But to cling to them after they have served their purpose is to turn a useful tool into a heavy burden. Wisdom is knowing when to build the raft, and just as importantly, when to leave it behind. When you release the need for life to follow your script, an incredible freedom dawns. Life ceases to be a test that you are constantly passing or failing. It becomes an adventure, an unscripted mystery that you can meet with curiosity and wonder. You can show up for each moment as it is, not as you demand it to be. Rest now in the deep peace and spaciousness of an unburdened mind, a mind that has gratefully laid down the heavy raft of expectation and is ready to walk, light and free, into the beautiful, unknown mystery of whatever comes next. As we rest in the freedom that comes from releasing the rigid blueprints of expectation, our hearts become more pliable, more open to the unscripted beauty of the present moment. Having laid down the burdens of the past and the anxieties for the future, we discover a newfound spaciousness within. It is in this clear and open space that we can now cultivate another of the four sublime states of the heart, a quality of boundless and effervescent joy. This is the practice of mudita, a Pali word often translated as sympathetic or altruistic joy. It is the sincere, selfless, and wholehearted celebration of the happiness, success, and good fortune of others. In a world that so often conditions us to compete, to compare ourselves, to measure our own worth against the achievements of our neighbors, this practice can feel nothing short of revolutionary. It is the direct and powerful antidote to the twin poisons of envy and jealousy, those corrosive emotions that shrink our hearts and steal our peace. Envy is the painful feeling that arises when we see that someone else has what we want. Jealousy is the fearful feeling that someone will take away what we have. Both are born from a deep, underlying belief in scarcity, the mistaken idea that life is a zero-sum game, that happiness is a limited pie, and that if someone else gets a large slice, there is necessarily less for us. This comparing mind is a painful prison. It is a state of perpetual poverty, regardless of our actual circumstances. When we are trapped in the mindset of envy, we can never truly enjoy our own blessings, because we are too busy looking over our shoulder at what someone else has. We scroll through images of other people's perfect lives and feel our own life is lacking. We hear of a friend's success and feel a secret pang of resentment instead of joy. This state is lonely, it is isolating, and it is exhausting. It cuts us off from the genuine connection and celebration that make life rich and meaningful. We secretly wish for others to stumble, believing their failure will somehow elevate us. But in truth, it only diminishes us, trapping us in a small, dark world of our own making. Mudita is the key that unlocks the door to this prison. It is the radical recognition that joy is not a limited resource. It is infinitely abundant. The practice of mudita invites us to experience this truth directly. Like all practices of the heart, it is a cultivation, a gentle training. We begin by starting where it is easiest. So, I invite you now to bring to mind a person whom you love very deeply and easily, a dear friend, a cherished child or grandchild, a beloved partner, someone whose happiness truly matters to you. Hold this person in your heart. Now, imagine something truly wonderful happening for them. Don't just think about it, visualize it vividly. Perhaps they have just achieved a lifelong dream they have worked so hard for. Perhaps they have just received some wonderful, life-changing news. Perhaps they have fallen deeply in love, or are simply laughing, completely carefree, on a beautiful day. See the authentic, unbridled joy on their face. See the light shining in their eyes. As you hold this vivid image in your mind, notice what happens in your own heart. Allow yourself to feel a genuine echo of their happiness. Let their joy be your joy. Feel the warmth spreading through your own chest. Feel the smile that naturally comes to your own lips. There is no sense of competition here, no feeling of lack. There is simply a shared, resonant field of happiness. This feeling, this wholehearted celebration of another's well-being, is mudita. Savor it. Let it fill you. To amplify this feeling, you can offer them a silent blessing from your heart. Repeat these phrases gently, with sincere intention. My dear friend, I am so truly happy for you. May your joy and your good fortune continue. May your happiness increase and blossom. Feel the generosity of this wish. Feel the beauty of a heart that can delight in the delight of another. Now, having ignited this flame of sympathetic joy, let us gently stretch the muscle of the heart. Let go of the image of your loved one and bring to mind an acquaintance, someone you know, perhaps from work or your community, but to whom you are not particularly close. Someone you feel neutral about. Now, imagine hearing some good news about this person. Perhaps you hear they got a promotion you were also hoping for, or that they just bought a beautiful new home. The mind's habit might be to feel a twinge of envy or comparison. Notice this habit without judgment, and then gently choose a different path. Remember that this person, just like you, wishes to be happy and to have good things in their life. Their success does not take away from the pool of potential success in the world. In fact, a person who is happy and secure is far more likely to be kind and generous to others than one who is struggling. So, see if you can look at their good fortune and offer them the same genuine wish you offered to your friend. I am happy for you. It is wonderful that this good thing has happened for you. May your happiness continue. You may be surprised to find that this act of consciously choosing joy over envy actually feels far better, far more expansive and peaceful in your own body and mind. You are training your brain to find joy in more and more places. There is a wonderful parable that illustrates the difference between a heart trapped in envy and a heart liberated by mudita. A wise man was given a guided tour of the spiritual realms. First, he was taken to see hell. He was led into a magnificent dining hall. In the center were long tables, piled high with the most delicious and fragrant foods imaginable, true feast for the senses. But seated around these tables were people who were skeletal, emaciated, and moaning with a desperate, unending hunger. The wise man was confused. He looked closer and saw the source of their torment. Each person held a pair of chopsticks that were 3 feet long. With these long chopsticks, they could easily reach the delectable food on the tables. But because the chopsticks were so long, they could not bend them back to bring the food to their own mouths. Their hell was to be surrounded by infinite abundance while being trapped in the solitary, eternal frustration of their own grasping. Then, the wise man was taken to see heaven. To his astonishment, the scene was identical. The same magnificent hall, the same bountiful tables of food, and the same 3-foot-long chopsticks. Yet here, the people were plump, laughing, joyful, and deeply satisfied. Their faces shone with contentment. The wise man watched for a moment, and then he saw the simple, profound difference. In heaven, each person was using their long chopsticks not to try and feed themselves, but to reach across the table and feed the person opposite them. The person on the other side, in turn, was feeding them. In the simple, joyful act of nourishing each other, everyone was nourished. In finding joy in feeding another, their own hunger was satisfied. This story teaches us that heaven and hell are not geographical locations. They are states of the heart. Hell is the prison of the separate self, consumed with its own needs, forever grasping and never satisfied. Heaven is the spacious heart of connection, the heart of mudita, which understands that our own happiness is magnified when we contribute to the happiness of others. Envy is trying to feed yourself with 3-foot-long chopsticks. Mudita is realizing we are all here to feed each other. This practice utterly shatters the illusion of scarcity. It reveals the truth of abundance. Joy is not a finite commodity. It is more like the light of a candle. One candle can light 1,000 other candles without its own flame being diminished in any way. In fact, when it shares its light, the sum total of light in the room only increases, and the original flame now finds itself in a much brighter, warmer space. This is the nature of joy. When you train your mind to actively look for and celebrate the happiness and success of others, your world transforms. Instead of seeing competitors and reminders of your own lack, you begin to see inspiration, beauty, and good fortune everywhere. Your own heart becomes a source of limitless joy because you are no longer limited to celebrating only your own small victories. the entire world's happiness becomes available to you. Rest now with a heart that is open, abundant, and joyful. A heart that has discovered the secret that the surest way to be happy is to sincerely wish for others to be happy. Rest in this expansive, warm, and celebratory peace, having opened our hearts to the boundless friendliness of metta, the tender tremor of compassion, and the selfless delight of sympathetic joy. We now arrive at the fourth and culminating jewel of these sublime abodes. This final quality is the one that holds, balances, and perfects all the others. It is the grounding force that allows our love to be wise and our compassion to be sustainable. This is the profound and peaceful state of upekkha, or equanimity. It is vital to begin by understanding what equanimity is not. Hearing the word, our minds might conjure an image of someone cold, detached, aloof, and unfeeling. This is the stony, lifeless state of indifference, and it is the absolute opposite of true equanimity. Indifference comes from a closed and fearful heart. Equanimity is born from a heart that is so wide open, so courageous, and so full of love that it is no longer thrown off balance by the changing winds of life. Indifference is numbness. Equanimity is a vibrant, radiant, and spacious state of mind, born from the deepest wisdom. It is the unwavering stability of a heart that has come to see the true nature of reality. Imagine a great ancient mountain. On the slopes of this majestic mountain, the weather is in a constant state of flux. One day, the sun shines with a brilliant, warming light. The next, a fierce thunderstorm rages, with howling winds and lashing rain. In winter, a gentle blanket of snow falls, creating a deep silence. In spring, warm breezes blow. Throughout all of this ceaseless change, the mountain itself remains utterly still, solid, and unmoved. The mountain does not cling to the sunshine and mourn when it is gone. It does not resist the storm, trying to push it away. It allows all weather to come, to be, and to pass. It holds all of life's phenomena in its vast, silent, and dignified embrace. Your mind, when resting in equanimity, is like this mountain. The ever-changing weather patterns are the unavoidable ups and downs of your life. Equanimity is the deep, inner stillness that allows you to experience all of this weather without being toppled by it. This profound balance is not an accident. It is the natural result of the wisdom we have been cultivating. Because we have looked deeply at the truth of anicca, or impermanence, we understand that both pleasant and unpleasant experiences are transient. Therefore, we do not desperately cling to pleasure or violently resist pain. Because we have investigated the truth of anatta, or no self, we do not take life's events so personally. We see that they are impersonal processes, not a reflection of our inherent worth. And because our hearts are filled with metta and karuna, our equanimity is not cold and distant, but warm, caring, and deeply engaged with life. The Buddha spoke of 8 worldly winds that are constantly blowing, threatening to knock us off our center. They come in 4 pairs of opposites. The practice of equanimity is the practice of learning to stand firm and balanced in the face of all 8 of these winds. First, contemplate the winds of gain and loss. Our lives are a constant flow of gaining and losing. We gain a new job, a new relationship, a new possession, and we feel elated, on top of the world. Then, we lose a job, a relationship ends, we misplace our keys, or our health declines, and we feel devastated, as if the ground has fallen out from under us. Our happiness becomes a roller coaster, completely dependent on these external circumstances. Equanimity sees both gain and loss as natural, inevitable parts of the flow of life. It can appreciate a gain with gratitude, without clinging to it as a source of permanent security. And it can meet a loss with grace and sadness, but without despair, knowing that all things are impermanent. It finds its center in a place that is untouched by either gaining or losing. Next, reflect on the winds of praise and blame. How reactive we are to the opinions of others. Someone offers us a word of praise or a compliment, and our ego soars. We feel validated, seen, and worthy. Then, someone criticizes us, misunderstands us, or speaks ill of us, and we are crushed. We feel shame, anger, and defensiveness. We have handed over the keys to our well-being to the ever-shifting judgments of other people. Equanimity hears both praise and blame, but it does not build its house on these shifting sands. It can receive praise with a simple "thank you" without becoming inflated. It can receive blame or criticism with an open mind, seeing if there is any truth to be learned, but without allowing it to shatter its own sense of inner worth. Its stability comes from its own integrity, not from external approval. Consider the winds of fame and disrepute. This is praise and blame on a larger scale. Our culture places a huge value on being known, on being popular, on having a high status. We crave recognition, and we fear obscurity or public disgrace. We are driven to build a reputation, a public persona, and then we live in fear of that persona being tarnished. The heart that rests in equanimity finds its peace, not in the noisy spotlight of fame, but in the quiet, humble truth of its own being. It is content to do good work, to live with kindness, without needing an audience or applause. It knows that a good reputation is pleasant, but it is not a reliable source of peace. Finally, we contemplate the most fundamental winds of all, pleasure and pain. This pair underlies all the others. At its core, our entire life is often an unconscious and frantic scramble to maximize pleasure and to avoid pain. We chase pleasant sights, sounds, tastes, smells, and feelings. We run from unpleasant ones. This constant chasing and running is the very engine of our restlessness. Equanimity is the revolutionary practice of learning to be with both pleasure and pain, with a balanced and spacious mind. It allows you to fully savor a pleasant experience without becoming addicted to it, without desperately trying to make it last forever. And it gives you the immense strength to be with physical or emotional pain, meeting it with softness and breath and courage, without being overwhelmed by the secondary fear and resistance that turns pain into suffering. It brings a wise and spacious acceptance to all of life's textures, the smooth and the rough. There is a powerful story that perfectly illustrates this profound peace. A wise and highly respected meditation master lived in a hut near a village. One day, a young woman in the village who had become pregnant was pressured by her angry parents to name the father. To protect her actual lover, she named the meditation master. The parents, enraged, stormed to the monk's hut and accused him of being a hypocrite and a fraud. They hurled insults at him. The monk listened patiently and replied with only one simple phrase, "Is that so?" When the baby was born, the parents brought the infant to the monk and said, "This is your child. You wanted him. Now you take care of him." And they thrust the baby into his arms. The monk simply said, "Is that so?" and accepted the child. He cared for the baby with immense love and tenderness, going into the village to beg for milk and whatever else the child needed, enduring the scorn and contempt of the villagers. A year later, The young mother was overcome with remorse. She confessed to her parents that she had lied and that the monk was innocent. The parents were horrified at the terrible injustice they had committed. They rushed to the monk's hut, prostrating themselves, apologizing profusely, and begging for his forgiveness. "We were wrong. We are so sorry. Please give us our grandchild back." The monk listened to their confession and their apology with the same calm presence with which he had received their accusations. He looked at them with compassion, said, "Is that so?" and gently handed the baby back to them. The monk's heart was the great mountain. The fierce storm of blame and accusation did not shake him. The warm sun of apology and praise did not make him grasp. His inner peace was not for sale. It was not dependent on the good or bad opinions of others. It was an internal state, unshakable and unconditional, born from a deep seeing into the nature of life. This is the profound, quiet, and powerful peace of Upekkha. It is the guardian of our love, preventing it from becoming attachment. It is the guardian of our compassion, preventing it from becoming burnout. It is the quality that allows us to love the world completely, to serve the world wisely, and to walk through the world with a free and fearless heart. Rest now in the spacious, calm, and unwavering balance of a heart that has finally come home to itself. Resting here in the spacious and unshakable balance of equanimity, with a heart that is no longer so easily swayed by the winds of gain and loss, praise and blame, we can now use this newfound stability to examine one of the most powerful and hypnotic forces in our modern world. This is the pervasive, often invisible, pressure of materialism, the deeply ingrained cultural belief that our happiness, our worth, and our very freedom can be found through the acquisition of things. This message is the constant, humming soundtrack of our society. It is whispered to us from every screen we look at, shouted from every billboard, and woven into the fabric of our aspirations. It promises us that if we just had that newer car, that bigger house, that more fashionable wardrobe, then the persistent, low-level feeling of unease would finally vanish. Tonight, with a kind and curious awareness, we will gently investigate this promise, not to judge it, but to see for ourselves if it is a path to true and lasting peace. In the ancient maps of the mind that Buddhist wisdom provides, there is a realm of being known as the world of the hungry ghosts. These beings are depicted with huge, perpetually empty bellies, but with throats as narrow as the eye of a needle. They are surrounded by food and drink, but because their throats are so tiny, they can never consume enough to quell their agonizing, ravenous hunger. They are forever grasping, forever craving, forever feeling an aching lack. This is not just an ancient myth. It is a perfect and profound metaphor for the modern consumer mindset. We are living in a society of hungry ghosts, surrounded by an unprecedented abundance of things, yet gnawed by a perpetual hunger for more. Let us look honestly at the cycle, the psychological treadmill that so many of us are running on. It begins with a feeling of lack, a subtle dissatisfaction. We see an advertisement, a post from a friend, an object in a store window. A desire is born. Our mind immediately begins to spin a story. If I had that, I would be more attractive. If I had that, people would admire me. If I had that, I would feel happy, secure, and complete. This story creates a painful tension between our present reality and a fantasized future. So we strive, we work, we spend, we acquire the thing we desire. And for a moment, there is a rush, a hit of pleasure, of novelty. The feeling of lack is temporarily silenced. The hungry ghost has received a small crumb, but what happens next? Inevitably, the novelty fades. The new car becomes just a car, something that gets us from one place to another. The new phone becomes just a functional object. The stylish new clothes become just clothes. We adapt. This new level of having becomes our new baseline. And then, the underlying hunger, the deep feeling of not enoughness, re-emerges, and our eyes begin to scan the horizon once more, searching for the next thing, the next purchase, that promises to finally, once and for all, fill the empty space inside. This is a game that is rigged against us. It is a cycle designed to perpetuate itself, a thirst that can never be quenched, because we are looking for water in a desert. The wisdom of the Buddha offers a radical, liberating alternative. It invites us to completely redefine our concept of wealth. Our culture defines wealth as having an abundance of possessions, as the ability to acquire everything you desire. The spiritual path defines true wealth in a much simpler, more profound way. True wealth is the freedom from want. It is the deep, abiding peace of a contented heart. Let that sink in. True wealth is not about having more, it is about wanting less. This is not a call to a life of harsh asceticism or a vow of poverty. It is an invitation to cultivate a wise discernment between our genuine needs and the endless, manufactured wants of our ego and our culture. We all have basic needs for food, for shelter, for safety, for companionship, for love. To meet these needs is wholesome and necessary. But the hungry ghost of consumerism is not concerned with our needs. It preys on our insecurities, creating an infinite catalogue of wants, promising that the next purchase will be the one that finally makes us feel worthy, whole, and at peace. The great discovery of the contemplative path is that the peace we are seeking cannot be found in any store. The wholeness we crave cannot be ordered online. The sense of worth we long for cannot be bought with any currency. It is, and always has been, an inside job. The true source of wealth is contentment. In the Pali language, this is called santuthi, which means knowing when enough is enough. Contentment is not a bitter resignation to a life of mediocrity. It is a joyful, profound, and liberating relief. It is the feeling of finally being able to step off the exhausting, high-speed treadmill of wanting more, more, more. It is the peace that comes when you stop chasing happiness in the future and begin to discover it in the richness of your present moment. It is realizing that you already have everything you truly need. Let us practice this shift in perspective right now. We will practice turning the mind away from its habitual focus on what is lacking, and instead, gently guide it to rest on what is already present and abundant. This is the healing practice of gratitude. Let us begin with the simplest and most profound blessings of this very moment. Bring your awareness to your breath. Feel the simple, astonishing miracle of air entering your lungs, nourishing every cell in your body, and then releasing. This breath is a gift, given freely, moment by moment. Feel a sense of gratitude for this breath. Now, bring your awareness to your body, resting here, whatever its condition, its aches and pains, its age. This body is an incredible vessel that allows you to see, to hear, to touch, to experience the world. Feel gratitude for this body. Feel gratitude for the bed that is supporting you, for the roof that is sheltering you, for the simple, profound safety of this moment. Now, let us expand our gratitude to the simple, non-material riches that fill our lives. Bring to mind the feeling of the sun's warmth on your skin. Bring to mind the taste of a cool, clear glass of water when you are thirsty. Bring to mind the sound of a piece of music that has touched your soul. or the sound of laughter from someone you love. Think of the love you have for a friend, a partner, a child, or a pet. These are the true treasures of our lives. They are what make life rich and meaningful. Let your heart swell with appreciation for these simple, profound, and priceless gifts. Finally, think of the material things you already possess. Instead of seeing them through the lens of the hungry ghost, which sees them as old, outdated, or not good enough, see if you can look at them with fresh eyes. Be grateful for the simple chair that supports you, for the lamp that allows you to read, for the clothes that keep you warm. Acknowledge the incredible, invisible web of human effort and planetary resources that came together to bring even the simplest object into your life. When you look at the world through the eyes of gratitude, your sense of lack begins to dissolve, and a feeling of profound abundance takes its place. You realize that you are, and always have been, incredibly wealthy. There is an old story of a powerful king who possessed all the riches in the world. He had palaces and jewels, armies and silks, but his heart was filled with a constant, aching emptiness. He heard stories of a wandering ascetic, a man who owned nothing but a simple cloth robe and a wooden begging bowl, yet was said to be the most peaceful and contented man in the kingdom. The king, filled with a mixture of doubt and curiosity, sought him out. He found the ascetic meditating serenely under a great banyan tree. The king, in all his royal finery, approached him and asked, "I have everything a man could ever want, yet I feel I have nothing. You have nothing, and yet you seem to possess a peace that I can only dream of. What is your secret?" The ascetic opened his eyes, looked at the king with gentle compassion, and replied, "Your Majesty, the secret is not as complicated as you think. You believe that happiness is found by adding more things to your life. I have discovered that happiness is found by subtracting desires from my mind. Your happiness depends on what you have. My happiness depends on what I am. The secret to my wealth is not in my empty bowl. It is in my contented heart. This is the freedom that is available to all of us. When you untangle your sense of self-worth from what you own, you become free. You can enjoy beauty without needing to possess it. You can appreciate quality without becoming a slave to brand names. You find your joy not in having, but in being. Rest now, in the deep, quiet, and unshakable wealth of a contented heart. A heart that has discovered the profound peace of knowing what it is to have and to be enough. Resting here, in the deep and quiet wealth of a contented heart, we find that the frantic energy of the mind naturally begins to settle. The desperate, outward search for happiness has been seen for the illusion that it is, and we have begun to turn our attention homeward to the peace that is always available within. As the storm of wanting and striving subsides, the waters of the mind become clearer and more still. And in this newfound stillness, we can begin to perceive something incredibly subtle, something that has been here all along, but was drowned out by the noise. We can begin to notice the silence, the profound, generative silence that lies between and behind all of our thoughts. Our entire lives, we have been conditioned to believe that our mind is the thoughts themselves. We think of the mind as a non-stop thought factory, a relentless inner narrator that never takes a break. We identify so completely with this inner chatter that the idea of a silent mind seems like an impossible fantasy or even a frightening emptiness. But what if this is a profound misunderstanding? What if the thoughts are not the mind itself, but are merely visitors, passing through a much vaster, much quieter, and infinitely more peaceful space? What if the mind, in its true nature, is not noise, but silence? Tonight, we will gently turn our attention away from the visitors, and for the first time, perhaps, pay attention to the home they are visiting. We will learn to listen not to the thoughts, but to the silence that holds them. We often tell ourselves the story, "My mind is always busy. It never stops." But is this truly, absolutely true? Or is it simply that our attention has become so habitually and powerfully hooked by the drama of our thinking that we fail to notice the natural pauses, the tiny gaps of stillness that occur between each thought? Imagine you are looking at a beautiful string of pearls. Your attention is naturally drawn to the pearls themselves, their luster, their shape, their color. You might spend a long time admiring the pearls, but you could easily overlook the most crucial component of the necklace, the delicate, strong, almost invisible silk thread upon which all the pearls are strung. Without that thread, the pearls would be a scattered, chaotic mess on the floor. There would be no necklace. The thoughts in our mind are like these pearls, and the silent, spacious awareness that holds them is the thread. We have spent our lives being fascinated by the pearls. Tonight, we will become interested in the thread. Let us try a gentle experiment. There is nothing to do, nothing to force. Simply rest and listen inwardly to the stream of your own consciousness. A thought will arise. It could be a word, an image, a memory. Just notice it, and then be very patient. Watch as it dissolves, and in the space after it has gone, before the next thought has been born, there is a gap. It may only last for a fraction of a second, but it is there, a space of pure, contentless awareness, a moment of profound mental silence. This is the space we are going to explore. We have used the metaphor of the mind as a vast open sky, and our thoughts as clouds passing through. For most of our lives, we have been obsessed cloud watchers. We have been fascinated by the shapes and colors of the clouds. We have identified with them completely, believing, "I am that dark, stormy cloud of anger," or "I am that light, wispy cloud of a fleeting joy." We have spent our days chasing the white clouds and running from the dark ones, forgetting that all clouds, by their very nature, are transient. The practice now is to make a profound shift in identification. You are not the clouds. You are the sky. With a gentle intention, begin to withdraw your fascination with the clouds and instead become deeply interested in the sky itself. Notice the vast, boundless, and ever-present blue of awareness that is always here, behind every cloud, between every cloud. Notice that the sky is never harmed by the most violent thunderstorm. It is never stained by the darkest cloud. Its fundamental nature remains pure, clear, open, and at peace, regardless of the weather that passes through it. This sky is the true nature of your mind. Let yourself feel this now. Feel yourself as this immense, silent spaciousness. When a thought cloud drifts into view, you don't have to push it away. Just let it be there. But keep a large portion of your attention resting in the silent, clear sky in which the cloud is floating. Let the thought be a small event happening in a vast field of stillness. The thought is temporary. The stillness is permanent. Rest as the stillness. Rest as the sky. We can approach this from another angle, using the sense of hearing. Imagine you are sitting in a perfectly quiet room, and the only sound is the steady ticking of a large grandfather clock. At first, your attention is on the sound tick, tock, tick, tock. But if you listen more deeply, you can begin to shift your focus. You can start to listen to the silence that is in between the ticks. You will realize that the silence is actually present for a longer duration than the sound is. The silence is the foundation, the background, out of which the sound arises and into which it dissolves. Your thoughts are the ticks of your mind. See if you can perform the same shift of attention. Instead of listening for the next thought, waiting to see what the mind will produce, can you listen for the silence that follows each thought? When a thought ends, let your attention rest in that silent gap. Let that gap be your refuge. Savor it. You will find that the more you value the silence, the more you pay attention to it, the longer the gaps begin to grow. The mind, feeling that its frantic activity is no longer being given all the attention, begins to relax and settle down. This silence is not an empty, dead, or negative state. It is not a void. It is a vibrant, living stillness. It is pregnant with an infinite potential. It is the source from which all true creativity, all flashes of insight, all deep wisdom, and all genuine peace arise. When we are constantly caught in the superficial chatter of our thinking mind, we are cut off from this deep, intuitive wellspring. By learning to rest in the silence between thoughts, we are returning to our own deepest source. This practice is one of the most profoundly restorative things you can do for your mind and your nervous system. When your attention is constantly engaged with the content of your thoughts, your brain is in a state of continuous activity. It is like leaving a computer running dozens of programs all at once. It overheats, it slows down, and its battery drains quickly. When you learn to rest your attention in the silent awareness itself, you are closing all the unnecessary programs. You are allowing the system to cool down, to reset, to recharge at the most fundamental level. You are plugging yourself into a source of infinite, calm, and quiet energy. This silent space is the ultimate sanctuary. It is the peace of God, the peace that passes all understanding. It is the home you have been searching for your entire life, through all your striving and all your seeking. And the beautiful, astonishing truth is that it has been here all along, waiting patiently behind the veil of your thinking, closer to you than your own breath. So rest now. Let go of all techniques, all effort, all doing. Let go of the watcher, the witness, the observer. Simply dissolve into this vast, silent, and peaceful awareness. There is nowhere to go, nothing to achieve, no one to be. Simply be the silence. Rest in the stillness. Rest as the stillness. Resting as this vast, silent, and peaceful awareness, the mind becomes exceptionally quiet. In this profound stillness, even the familiar concepts of my body and my mind begin to feel too solid, too sharply defined. These are labels, words we use to carve up a reality that is, in its essence, a seamless whole. Beneath these concepts lies the simple, undivided energy of pure being. And so now, we can begin the final journey of the night. It is a journey of surrender, a journey of letting go completely. We can allow these final, subtle concepts of self to dissolve, to melt, to merge back into the great, mysterious source from which they arose. There is no effort required here. In fact, all effort must be relinquished. This is not something you do, but something you allow to be done to you. It is a gentle, natural, and deeply safe process of returning home. Bring your awareness, for one last time, to the feeling of your physical form resting here. Feel its weight, its shape, its boundaries. And now, let us invite the power of our imagination to help us let go. Imagine, if you will, that your body is made of solid, frozen ice. And imagine that the bed you are lying upon is not a bed, but a vast, warm and gentle body of water. Let us begin this melting with your feet. Imagine your feet like 2 blocks of clear ice, beginning to feel the warmth of the water beneath them. The sharp edges begin to soften. The solid form begins to lose its definition. You can almost feel a slow, gentle dripping, a releasing, as the ice of your feet begins to melt, merging with the warmth, becoming one with the water. The boundary is becoming blurry, softer, and now it is gone. Your feet are no longer separate, solid things. They are just warm, fluid peace. Allow this melting sensation to flow upwards into your ankles and your lower legs. The solid, frozen structure of your shins and your calves begins to soften, to dissolve, releasing all the tension they have held. They are melting, flowing, merging with the great warmth. There is no separation, just a gentle, peaceful flow. This wave of release continues up into your knees and into your powerful thighs. All the strength, all the holding, all the effort in these large muscles is now surrendering, melting, dissolving, letting go completely into the warm, supportive water. Your legs are no longer legs. They are just a sensation of warmth, of fluidity, of peace. Feel this warmth as it permeates the core of your being. Your hips, your pelvis, your abdomen, your chest. This entire solid trunk of ice is now beginning to soften from the inside out. The very center of you is becoming fluid, warm, and free. The edges are dissolving. The outlines are fading. You are a pool of melting ice, releasing your form, releasing your structure, and merging completely with the vast, warm water that holds you. All the organs, all the muscles, all the bones are letting go of their solidity, returning to their fluid, elemental nature. This gentle dissolution flows down your shoulders, releasing the last of their burdens, down your arms, your elbows, your hands. Your hands, which have grasped and held on for so long, now melt and open like ice ferns in the sun. All definition is gone. All separation is gone. There is no you and no bed. There is only this one, unified field of warm, flowing, peaceful energy. The ice of your neck and your throat melts away, releasing all unspoken words, all unfelt tears. And finally, your head, the very fortress of the ego, the solid globe of the skull, begins to soften. It, too, gives up its form, its rigidity. It melts and dissolves into the boundless, warm, and peaceful whole. And now, let go of the image of the bed. Let go of the room itself. Imagine that this warm, fluid peace in which you are floating is the surface of a vast, calm ocean at midnight. The sky above is filled with 1 billion distant stars, but here on the water, all is dark and still. The water is the exact temperature of your own being, so you can barely tell where you end and the ocean begins. You are held, you are supported, you are completely safe. And now, with a feeling of ultimate trust and release, you begin to sink, so slowly, so gently. There is no fear, there is no resistance. It is a peaceful, willing descent into the great mystery. You sink beneath the shimmering, starlit surface. The world of thought, the world of light and form is left behind. You sink deeper now, down, down, through the upper currents of feeling and emotion. You watch them pass by like schools of phosphorescent fish, but you do not follow them. You continue your effortless descent, down, down, into the deep, quiet, middle layers of the ocean. The light from above has completely faded. There is only a deep, serene, sapphire darkness. The sounds of the surface world are gone. There is only a profound, humming silence. The pressure of the deep water is not a crushing weight, but a firm, comforting, and constant embrace, holding you securely from all sides. You are held in the heart of the great Mother Ocean, and you continue to sink even deeper still, down, 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 to the very bottom of the world. Here, in the abyssal plain, there is a stillness that has not been disturbed for 1,000 years. It is perfectly silent here. It is perfectly dark here. It is perfectly still here. There is no up or down, no right or wrong, no past or future, no you and no other. All distinctions have dissolved. There is only this deep, dark, silent, peaceful, all-encompassing being, the final surrender. And this deep, dark, peaceful ocean is nothing other than the night itself. The very darkness in the room around you is this vast, loving presence. It is not an empty, frightening blackness. It is a rich, velvety, and maternal darkness. It is the womb of all creation, the space from which all things are born, and to which all things return to rest. Feel this darkness now as a soft, heavy blanket of pure peace. Feel it tucking you in, protecting you, and keeping you safe. The night asks nothing of you. It does not need you to be clever, or successful, or good. It does not need you to be anyone at all. It simply loves you as you are, and it gives you the unconditional permission to completely and utterly let go. So let yourself dissolve now into this loving darkness. Let the last remaining edges of your being melt and merge with the fabric of the night. You are not in the darkness. You are the darkness. You are not in the stillness. You are the stillness. You are the peace you have been seeking, like a single anonymous drop of rain falling from a cloud and merging back into the boundless ocean from which it came, like a single speck of dust after a long journey in the wind, settling back onto the quiet, patient breast of the earth. You are simply returning to your source, returning home. Let go now, dissolve, melt, sink, rest. There is nothing left to do, nothing left to know, nothing at all. Rest deeply now. And so, we arrive here, at the final, silent threshold of the night. We have journeyed through the landscapes of the body, the mind, and the heart. We have quieted, we have listened, and we have opened. Now, we stand at the gateway between the world of gentle doing and the world of absolute being. This is the sacred entrance into sleep, a gateway that cannot be forced open with the key of effort, but only opens when we offer it the key of our own complete and trusting surrender. Sleep is a shy and gentle creature. It will not visit if it feels it is being watched, or hunted, or anxiously awaited. The moment it senses our striving, our desire, our mental effort to capture it, it recedes quietly back into the shadows. The hunter, the part of us that is trying to achieve a goal, is the very presence that frightens it away. Peace descends only when the hunter finally recognizes the futility of the hunt, lays down his arms, and rests. Tonight, we will lay down our arms. We will become not a hunter, but a quiet, open field, waiting patiently and peacefully for the gentle dew of sleep to fall when it is ready. Throughout this journey together, you have been a wise and patient gardener of your own inner world. You have tilled the soil of your awareness. With the breath, you have gently pulled the stubborn weeds of resentment and expectation. You have planted the most precious seeds of loving kindness, compassion, and wisdom deep in the fertile ground of your heart. You have done the work with sincerity and with care. And now, the work of the active gardener is finished. The sun has set. A good gardener knows that after the seeds have been planted and watered, the most essential and powerful action is to do nothing at all. The gardener must walk away from the garden for the night. They must trust the darkness. They must trust the rich, silent soil. They must trust the mysterious, miraculous, and invisible processes that happen underground, far from their sight and completely beyond their control. The anxious, controlling part of our mind is like a nervous, first-time gardener. Every few minutes, this nervous gardener is tempted to go out with a spade and dig up the seed, just to check if it has sprouted yet. This anxious checking, this constant monitoring of, is it working? Am I asleep yet? Not only prevents the seed from growing, but it actively destroys the very conditions for its germination. The trying to fall asleep is this very act of digging up the seed of rest. The most loving thing you can do for the seeds you have planted tonight is to leave them in peace, to trust the good soil of your own being, to trust the nourishing darkness of the night. The ultimate act of trust for the gardener is to let the garden be. The ultimate act of trust for you, right now, is to let your mind and body be exactly as they are in this moment, without any demand for them to be different. This is the practice of radical permission. If you feel the warm, heavy blanket of drowsiness descending upon you, then let it be. Welcome it. Do not grasp at it or become excited by its arrival, as this can scare it away. Simply receive it as a gentle invitation from the earth. Allow it to cover you. Surrender to its weight and its warmth. And if, on the other hand, you feel a lingering wakefulness, the practice is to welcome that guest as well. Do not label it insomnia. Do not call it your enemy. Do not begin the familiar story of struggle. Instead, just let it be. Wakefulness is here now. Meet it with the same calm neutrality you would meet a passing cloud. You can find deep, profound rest even while you are awake. Your body is lying still, restoring itself. Your mind is quiet, no longer caught in anxious loops. This state of quiet, peaceful, restful awareness is in itself deeply healing and regenerative. When you make friends with wakefulness, you rob it of all its power to create anxiety. And very often, it is this friendly, peaceful acceptance that finally coaxes the shy creature of sleep to emerge from the shadows. Think of this final surrender as a great, slow, and total unclenching. We move through our days in a state of subtle, and sometimes not so subtle, clenching. We clench our jaws in determination. We clench our fists in frustration. We clench our minds around our problems. We clench our will, trying to impose our agenda onto the world. We are holding on so very tightly. Now is the time for the great unclenching. Imagine that your will, your desire to control your experience, is a tightly clenched fist in the center of your being. Now, slowly, deliberately, finger by finger, allow this fist to open. Let go of the day that has just passed. It is a finished chapter. You cannot edit a single word. Let it go. Let go of the tomorrow that has not yet been written. It is a blank page. You cannot write on it from here. Let it go. Let go of the story of me, with all its dramas, its history, its ambitions. Let that character dissolve for the night. Let go of the need for this meditation, or this night, to be anything other than what it is. And finally, see if you can let go of the very effort to let go. Simply notice the sensation of holding on, of clenching, and allow it to be there. Bring your soft, accepting awareness to it. And in the warmth of that acceptance, you will find that it begins to soften and release, all on its own. You have done enough now. You have come to the end of your own effort. You must now hand yourself over to a greater intelligence, a deeper wisdom. You must trust. Trust the darkness that holds you. It is not an emptiness. but a presence, a loving, maternal presence that is the womb of rest. Trust the silence. It is not an absence of sound, but the presence of peace, the very ground of your being. And most of all, trust the deep, regenerative, and miraculous wisdom of your own body. It knows exactly what to do. It is an expert in the art of healing and resting. All it asks is that you step aside. The gardener's work is finished for the night. The seeds are planted in the good soil. There is nothing more to do but to trust the mysterious grace that works in the darkness. Release yourself now. Hand yourself over. Surrender to the deep, dark, fertile ground of the night, and allow yourself, finally, to rest. In this state of profound rest that you have so gently cultivated, as you float on the calm and silent edge of sleep, the conscious, thinking mind begins to recede like a quiet tide. The critical gatekeeper, the part of you that analyzes and judges and plans, has finally grown weary, and its vigilant watch has softened. In this precious and sacred absence, the vast, deep, and incredibly receptive garden of the subconscious mind now lies open before you, fertile and ready to receive whatever seeds you choose to plant within it. The thoughts and feelings that we hold in this delicate, transitional state are unlike ordinary thoughts. They are imbued with a potent and creative power. They are the very seeds that will take root in the darkness of the night, watered by the silence and nourished by your deep rest, growing into the fabric of your dreams and blossoming into the quality of your waking state tomorrow. Knowing this, we can now make a conscious, loving, and deliberate choice. We will not allow the stray seeds of worry or fear to be scattered here by the careless winds of habit. Tonight we will intentionally plant the seeds of deep, abiding, and unconditional peace, letting each phrase be a gentle, loving instruction for your innermost self, a whisper of truth to the very core of your being. Let the first and most fundamental seed be the seed of safety, for no true rest can occur without it. Let this truth permeate every layer of your existence as you silently affirm that I am safe. I am completely and utterly safe. This is a safety that is deeper than any circumstance, a fundamental security that is your birthright. You are held by the unwavering gravity of the earth, supported by the soft and patient surface beneath you, and enfolded within the quiet, protective darkness of this room. The part of your nervous system that has been on high alert, the inner watchman who has paced the battlements of your mind for so long, can now finally stand down, for the battle is over. There is nothing to defend against, no threat to anticipate. You can release all need for vigilance and control, allowing your entire being to rest in the profound and unshakable reality of your own safety. And this deep feeling of safety naturally gives rise to an unshakable peace. So you may plant the next seed, affirming that I am at peace. The inner storms of the day have passed, and the winds of the mind have grown calm and still. A deep, quiet peace pervades every cell of your body and every corner of your awareness. For this peace is not a temporary state you must achieve, but your most natural and essential nature, the stillness of the great mountain that you are simply returning to. All struggle has ceased, and you are home, resting in the very heart of peace. From this place of peace, it becomes effortless to plant the next seed, the seed of release, feeling the great burdens of the mind simply falling away as you acknowledge that I let go of all worry. The book of yesterday, with all its stories and regrets, is now closed and cannot be rewritten. The book of tomorrow, with all its imagined challenges, is not yet open, and its pages are blank. You reside only in the sanctuary of this present moment. And here, in this moment, there is absolutely nothing to solve, nothing to figure out, and nothing to control. You can gently release the mental habit of planning and rehearsing and worrying, surrendering all of your concerns to the deep, silent wisdom of the night. You can trust that the morning sun will bring with it all the clarity and all the strength you will need for the day to come. But for now, your only sacred duty is to rest. You are letting go, and you can feel the lightness that comes as you realize everything is being taken care of. And as the mind lets go, the body is free to do its deepest work. So you plant the seed of physical restoration, knowing that my body is healing. As you rest in this profound peace, a deep intelligence is at work within you, a silent, powerful force that is repairing, restoring, and regenerating every system of your being. Tired muscles are being soothed. The nervous system is being recalibrated to a state of calm, and vital energy is being replenished at its very source. You can send a wave of love and gratitude to your incredible body for its tireless, faithful work, trusting its innate wisdom to heal you completely as you sleep. This deep trust allows the heart itself to soften and open, so you plant the seed of emotional freedom, affirming that my heart is open. The old, heavy armor of defensiveness, of fear, of past hurts, has melted away in the warmth of your own acceptance. The hot coal of resentment has been laid down. You have offered forgiveness to those who have hurt you, not for their sake, but for the sake of your own precious peace. And most importantly, you have offered forgiveness to yourself, releasing the burden of past mistakes. Your heart is now soft, receptive, and resilient. It is open to love, open to compassion, open to joy, and it rests in the vast, spacious balance of equanimity. And from this open and trusting heart, you can plant the final seed of surrender to the great flow of life itself, acknowledging that I trust the flow of life. There is no longer any need to struggle upstream, to fight against the current of reality. You can embrace the profound truth of impermanence, knowing that change is the very engine of growth and healing. By letting go of your need to control everything and everyone, you discover the grace of floating peacefully on the great, mysterious river of life, trusting that it is carrying you exactly where you need to go. You trust the journey, you trust the process, you trust life itself, and so you can finally welcome your friend, sleep, knowing that sleep comes to me easily and naturally. You no longer need to chase it or demand its presence. You have made your inner home a quiet, peaceful, and welcoming place. And sleep is now a welcome guest, descending upon you like a soft, silent snow, blanketing your entire world in a layer of pure, white peace. You surrender to its gentle, heavy, and loving embrace. You are falling asleep now, and all is well. Everything is taken care of. Rest, sleep, peace, and now, the final gift. The gift of pure, untroubled silence. The journey of words is complete. Let them all dissolve. Let this voice dissolve. All that remains is the vast, peaceful, and healing space of the night. Rest now. There is nothing more. The following is a representation of the deep, healing silence that ensues. It is the space in which the listener is invited to drift into sleep. The silence that descends is not an emptiness. It is a presence. At first, it is simply the absence of the voice, the absence of guidance. It is a space for the echoes of the journey to settle, like dust motes gently coming to rest in a still room after a flurry of activity. The mind, accustomed to following, may cast about for a moment, looking for the next instruction. the next anchor. But there is none. There is only this quiet, this stillness. And in this lack of direction, the mind is given the ultimate permission to release its final duty, the duty of listening. It is invited to rest itself. The silence is a soft blanket, and it is being laid gently over the last embers of conscious thought. It is an invitation to a depth of peace that words can only point to, but can never fully embody. This is the first layer of silence, the silence of cessation. As the moments pass, this silence begins to deepen. It is no longer just an absence of sound, but a palpable presence in the room. It has a quality, a texture. It is a stillness that is both vast and intimate. It is as vast as the space between the stars, a profound cosmic quiet that has existed for eternity. And yet, it is as intimate as your own heartbeat, a silence that is uniquely yours, cradling your own being. You can feel it pressing gently on your skin, a pressure that is not weight, but comfort, a pressure that says, you are held, you are secure. This silence is the foundational ground of all being. Before the first sound was ever made, this silence was. And after the last sound fades, this silence will remain. You are resting in the very source of all things. The mind, which has learned to befriend the space between thoughts, now recognizes this great, boundless silence as its true home, its ultimate nature. There is no longer a need to look for the gaps. You are the gap. You are the stillness. This is the second layer of silence, the silence of presence. Within this deep and present silence, a profound and mysterious work is being done. This is the active, generative silence of healing, far below the surface of awareness. In the deep, subconscious realms of your being, all the seeds that were planted tonight are beginning to stir. The seeds of forgiveness are dissolving ancient knots of pain. The seeds of compassion are watering the dry and wounded parts of the heart. The seeds of loving kindness are weaving a new fabric of connection and warmth. The seeds of wisdom are recalibrating your relationship to reality, untangling the knots of fear around change and releasing the burden of the ego. This is a silent, effortless alchemy. You do not need to oversee it. You do not need to understand it. Your only task is to provide the stillness, to provide the darkness, to provide the surrender. The body's innate intelligence, in concert with the deep wisdom of the heart, is performing a miraculous recalibration. It is cleansing, restoring, integrating. Every quiet moment that passes is a moment of profound transformation. You are not just sleeping, you are being remade. You are being healed from the inside out by the potent, generative power of this sacred silence. This is the third layer of silence, the silence of integration. And finally, as the process of healing and integration continues in the deep, the conscious awareness, what little remains of it, begins to dissolve into a final, boundless state. The silence becomes so complete that even the sense of being a separate I who is experiencing the silence fades away. The boundaries melt completely. The drop returns to the ocean. The observer and the observed become one. There is no longer a body resting in a room. There is no longer a mind resting in stillness. There is only stillness, only peace, only being. It is a state prior to thought, prior to feeling, prior to identity. It is the great, open secret at the heart of the universe. It is a perfect, untroubled, and dreamless peace. It is the final letting go, the ultimate surrender. It is the deep, restorative void that is also the source of all fullness. It is the boundless silence where the journey ends and true rest begins. There are no more words, because there is no one left to hear them and nothing left to say. This is the final silence, the silence of pure being. The long journey of this night is now drawing to its peaceful and silent close. We began in a place so familiar to many of us, lying in the darkness, with a mind at war with itself, a frantic storm of worries about yesterday and anxieties for tomorrow. From that place of restless struggle, we have walked a gentle path inward. We learn to anchor our awareness in the simple, faithful rhythm of the breath, rediscovering the forgotten wisdom of the body and the vast, sky-like nature of the mind. We sat on the banks of our own consciousness, watching the endless stream of thoughts and feelings flow by, without being swept away by the current. We looked with courage and compassion at the roots of our own discontent, understanding the nature of impermanence, the illusion of a fixed self, and the freedom that comes from letting go of our resistance to life as it is. And with hearts made soft and strong by kindness, compassion, and joy, we learn to stand with a quiet, unshakable balance in the face of life's inevitable storms. We have traveled from the surface to the depths, from complexity to simplicity, from a mind that is fighting reality to a heart that is at peace with it. The deepest message of this journey is this: the peace you are feeling now was not given to you by these words. It was simply uncovered within you. It has been here all along, waiting patiently beneath the noise of the unexamined mind. Peace is not a destination you must travel to, nor is it a fragile state that depends on the world being perfect. It is your true nature. It is the silent, spacious awareness that can hold all of life's joys and sorrows with grace. The night, therefore, does not have to be a time of struggle or escape, but can become your most sacred sanctuary for this uncovering, a time for profound healing and a deep return to yourself. You have discovered that you possess all the tools you will ever need. The breath is your anchor, your awareness is your refuge, and your own compassionate heart is the most powerful healing force in the universe. You are your own guide. You are your own healer. So rest now, in the deep and quiet confidence of this truth. Allow the silence of the night to complete its mysterious and restorative work. And may you awaken in the morning not with the jarring clang of an alarm, but with the gentle light of a quiet mind, a peaceful heart, and a spirit that is ready to meet the new day with grace, wisdom, and love.